It's time for week 2 of the 2024 fantasy football season to finally commence in the next 3 hours. Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and of course, for the next 3+ hours, I'm going to be answering any fantasy football question I possibly can to the best of my ability in order to help us set lineups and, of course, find success in week 2. If perhaps you didn't find success in week 1 because of, that quite honestly being the 4th preseason game of the season, hopefully week 2 can get us back on track and in the right direction. I know many of us are dealing with injuries, but over the course of today's episode, we're going to try to navigate those, set the proper lineups in order to get ourselves in the right direction. Now, if in fact you are going to type in a question in the live chat and or send in a question via the super chat, please be sure to include your scoring format. If it doesn't include the scoring format, I literally won't even answer it because it really does make a huge difference in that circumstance. Now, additionally, as you guys can see, to the right side of the screen, we have updated rankings like we do every single Sunday morning. I typically want to include these rankings just so that we're all on the same page as to where I'm going with these individual picks and positions. So interpositionally, at running back, we have my top 36 running back rankings, wide receivers, and my top 16 quarterbacks and tight ends, along with my top 12 kickers and defenses. So if you guys are wondering where I would go in these overall circumstances, this is the overall direction. These are updated as of this morning. They do not include any players that already played on Thursday's matchup like James Cook and Achane because, again, I'm just trying to give you guys as many potential rankings as possible so that I can kind of lead you in the right direction. I hope you guys, of course, enjoyed today's content. And without further ado, let's go ahead and begin. I know there's already 300 plus of you in here. Welcome. Hope you guys are doing well. Let's get into answering questions, shall we? All right. So first and foremost, Tristan Ewing begins the questions of the day. Tristan, before I go ahead and answer that, there were a couple that I saw while I was kind of sitting here before the stream started that were in the live chat. Like someone was asking, like if in fact AJ Brown doesn't play, do I play Dotson or do I play Mooney? Okay, so as it currently stands, let's talk about AJ Brown specifically. If in fact AJ Brown doesn't play, I would like to have Jahan Dotson on roster to accordingly play him. Now, if you have an alternative option in comparison to AJ Brown, which is a top 24 potential wide receiver, and you are afraid of the potential in which he does not play tomorrow, it is probably in your best interest to be on the safe side rather than the sorry side and probably start a top 24 wide receiver in comparison to him. Now, if you have the opportunity to pick up a wide receiver of the caliber of Jahan Dotson, stash him on your bench, potentially play AJ Brown on Monday, great. But there's nothing that says that AJ Brown is going to play, and there's nothing that says that AJ Brown doesn't re-aggravate his hamstring injury during the game. So again, let's try to trend towards safe rather than sorry for Monday night. I will repeat this multiple times over the live stream today because many people are going to filter through asking, but just wanted to go ahead and just make a baseline there so that we all understand exactly that we should lean towards being safe with AJ Brown because, again, when you're dealing with a hamstring injury at the wide receiver position and he didn't practice on Saturday, those overall variables don't bode well for the potential of a Monday night performance that is first and foremost great, much less one that is going to, not be riddled with a hamstring pulling him down. Okay, Tristan Ewing's first question. Thank you, Tristan. Sends in a full PPR question. He says, I need 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. I have the following potential players. So of the options you have here, because I was looking at this before the stream started, Charbonnet and Henry are, full goes at your running back position. Harrison and Olave are your wide receivers. And between McConkey and Judy, in a full PPR scoring format, they are relatively close within my rankings, but I do have McConkey ahead of Judy just slightly. That's the direction that I would go with, and that's what I would suggest playing within the flex this week. Thank you, Tristan. I appreciate it. We move on to Diego's question, who comes in and says, full PPR, Jerome Ford or Najee Harris? Because of the full PPR format, Jerome Ford is the play, and I think it's not really relatively close, in fact. Najee Harris's lack of receiving utilization within the offense, the fact that they have a mobile quarterback, which typically mobile quarterbacks lean towards the idea that the running back isn't going to get a higher volume of checkdowns because, again, with the mobility of a scramble, you don't have to look for your running backs. Additionally, you have Cordero Patterson. You have potentially more healthy Jalen Warren this week. It just doesn't bode well for Najee in that category. Sure, he's got a great matchup against Denver. They're going to run the ball. They will find success in that manner. But Ford, in his overall situation with the higher volume of targets and receptions, just is a safer baseline of production. And he has, in my opinion, even more upside. Thank you. Somebody in the live chat asked, what's the song's name? Yeah, and it goes disgustingly hard. Yes, I appreciate that, Cheese Curds. It's called Double Helix. For those of you who are wondering. David Ramos in the chat, what's up? Good morning. Hope you're doing well, David. Okay, let's see here. Let's scroll down to a, yeah, here we go. All right. Chico 410 sends in a question. Says, I need one wide receiver, one running back, and a flex, and a half PPR scoring format. Here are my available options: Pacheco, Charbonnet, Stevenson, DK, Jameson, Keenan Allen. All right, so we know that there is a possibility that Keenan Allen may not go today. We know that he is a quote-unquote game-time decision. So is Rome Odunze. Obviously, from the reports that we have seen, either from Adam Schefter and or Ian Rappaport, there is a higher potential already that we're getting a confirmation that Rome Odunze is going to give it a go today. As for Keenan Allen, still determining as to whether or not he is going to be available. So in your circumstance here, regardless of all of that, just throwing it out there just so that we all have the context, because I will mention that because someone's going to ask for it in the future. But nonetheless, in this circumstance of one wide receiver, one running back, and one flex, in your position here, Chico, I'm playing Pacheco as your running back, Stevenson as your flex, and I'm probably starting DK Metcalf as your wide receiver in a half PPR scoring format. That's the way that I would approach it as it currently stands. Thank you. Steve Will 456 sends in a question. Does full PPR AJ Brown, JSN, BTJ, or Jalen Warren? So if you don't have the potential available pivoting options, for example, like we mentioned earlier, if you don't have the option to pivot to Jahan Dotson, if in fact AJ Brown is not to suit up and play tomorrow, then your best bet is most likely just rolling with BTJ, because he is the highest ranked player that I have outside of AJ Brown in this circumstance. So if you don't have any potential alternative options to pivot to, maybe your bench is stacked and you don't want to drop any of these players. Maybe you already have someone filled in your IR. So even if AJ Brown was going to go to IR on Monday night, you wouldn't be able to shove him in the IR, have an open available bench spot, and pick up someone of the caliber of Jahan Dotson, Darnell Mooney, Ray McLeod. If you don't have those options, the safe option would just be to roll with BTJ and get as many points as you can in that circumstance. Now, if you have alternative options, in your scenario, I would try to explore them and potentially play AJ Brown this week. But again, it just depends on what's available. With that context still, Will, hopefully that kind of gives you an understanding as to it's either AJ Brown or BTJ based on what you have available. Thank you. Danny D sends in a question. Says, in a full PPR, JMO or Marvin Harrison Jr. if AJ Brown sits? So we're not going to know whether or not A.J. Brown sits, considering they play on Monday Night Football against the Atlanta Falcons. Therefore, in this scenario, it's probably in your best interest, if you don't have any, again, pivoting options, you're just going to play Marvin Harrison and keep it moving. All right, let's see here. Ben Pierce sends in a question. Says, in a full PPR flex, would I play DK Metcalf, Aaron Jones, or Charbonnet? Between the three, I'd feel most comfortable playing Zach Charbonnet this week. I think the matchup in itself, in comparison to Aaron Jones having to take on the San Francisco 49ers, is far more appealing, with Charbonnet as a 3-down back taking on, the New England Patriots. Should be a matchup in which we're not going to see the New England Patriots have a massive lead. I mean, there's always a realm of possibility in which it could occur, but considering I don't expect it to occur in comparison to the 49ers and them grasping a pretty major lead early in that game against the Vikings and forcing Aaron Jones, rushing attempts to lower, in that overall circumstance, I think Charbonnet is built for a better overall upside and also has the advantage of being a 3-down back and get the receiving work of the full PPR format. So that's the direction I'm leading in. Charbonnet, Ben Pierce, thank you. Ryan Tank sends in a question. Thank you, Ryan. Ryan says, in an 8-team Superflex league, do I start Purdy or Devontae Smith in the Superflex position? Okay, so in a Superflex format, I typically do lean towards the quarterback position. Very seldom will I ever pick a receiver / running back over a quarterback. In those circumstances, you would have to tell me, hey, would you rather play Will Levis today or Devontae Smith? And at that point, I would pick the receiver. But in the case that you are currently in, I feel more comfortable playing a player of the caliber of Purdy. I think he has significantly higher upside in that kind of a circumstance. And at worst case scenario, he scores identical fantasy points, considering the baseline of production and the fact that, quite frankly, in the absence of Christian McCaffrey, we will see this offensive attack continue to pour it through, at least trying to get Debo, Kittle more opportunities, considering they're not going to be able to dump it off, to their running back. I mean, 28 rushing attempts is beautiful for Jordan Mason, but not getting more than 2 receptions is alarming, to the extent to where we will see, hopefully, Purdy pushing it down the field vertically. As for your follow-up question, let's see here. In the Superflex position, my tight end is Kittle and my quarterback is Jalen Hurts. Yeah, you're good to go. I'd play Purdy there. I think If you can find another way to play, Devontae Smith, sure. But outside of that, I'm going to lean and default to playing the quarterback typically. Thank you. All right, let's hear. Chase sends in a question. Says, in a full PPR, I got offered Rashee Rice for Ridley and Jameer White. Yep, take it. Give me Rashee Rice rest of the season. Absolutely. No questions asked, Chase. If you can get that deal done today prior to Rashee Rice taking on the Cincinnati Bengals, that would do you a pretty big favor. I'm not sure how you managed to get an offer of that caliber. If I was able to do that in my own leagues, I would consider myself to be a fantasy silver tongue of sorts. So congratulations. Get the deal done. Thank you for the question. Appreciate it. Okay, let's see here. Where are we at? Let's scroll around here. Next question. After Chase's question, we had Basa B. Thank you, Basa. Basa's in a standard format. 4-point per passing touchdowns. Fields, Stafford, or Geno. Yeah, as it currently stands, the way that I have them ranked is the following. Stafford at 12, Fields at 14, and Geno at 16. Again, as these rankings begin to filter through, again, these are updated as of this morning for those of you who are joining us. These updated rankings that are on the screen should kind of lead you in the direction as to where I would go within the interpositional rankings. So in this question, yes, I would play Stafford first, Field second, Geno third, in that order. Stafford will be my suggestion for today. Thank you, boss. I appreciate it. All right, let's see here. Stephen Drake sends in a question. Says, good morning, Andrew. Good morning. Yes, I'm very tired. It is early in the morning. And for those of you who are joining us and you are on the West Coast alongside of me, what does it say? Jordan Love targeting week 5 return. Yeah, that seems about normal. For those of you who are joining us, regardless of whether you're on the East Coast, the Midwest, or the West Coast, I'm sure we're all tired from a long Saturday night. But I hope you guys are doing well. And of course, if you haven't yet already, do me a favor, click the like button down below. Greatly appreciate that. Stephen Drake's question is the following: flex Montgomery or Ford in a half PPR? Let me see how I have them ranked accordingly. So in a half PPR, I have that's a full PPR. Let's go ahead and scroll back here. In a half PPR, I have David Montgomery ahead of Ford. This being said, the rankings will filter on screen. Montgomery's at 16 in comparison to Jerome Ford at 18, and they're both in the same tier. So if you would want to play Ford over Montgomery, I have no issue doing so. I think that is very justifiable. I can make an argument for it, but in this circumstance, I do in fact have David Montgomery ahead of Jerome Ford today. Thank you for your question, Stephen. Have a good one. All right, the Watch Hangout sends in a question. Says, my question is above. Okay, Watch Hangout, I see it. Says, in a 12-man full PPR league, so I traded ETN for Christian McCaffrey. Very well. I have Mason, Pacheco, Bucky Irving, Bigsby, Algier, okay, Evans, Puka, Mike Wills, okay, very well, Dortch, Marcus Robinson, Leggett, Hurts, and Kelsey. Was offered Achane or Kyron for Christian McCaffrey now. Wow, okay. I guess it's a matter of that's a really good question. I think it's not. Okay, so here's the thing. If you made this trade, Watch Hangout, which you made, if you made the trade in order to try to maintain the full backfield value of the San Francisco 49ers, in the case of once, in fact, Christian McCaffrey returns from his injury, which he will, whenever that ends up being, whether it's 4 weeks from now or 6 weeks from now or 8 weeks from now, time will tell. Obviously, we are not fortune tellers here. But in that circumstance, regardless of when he comes back, you're going to have the maintained value from Mason, and then you will subsequently get the full value from Christian McCaffrey. If you were to move McCaffrey, you'd also have to move Mason. So you'd have to, if you wanted out, you could get it. You have to give a team Mason and McCaffrey and ask for HN or Kyron and another piece. And they'd have to give you another shiny piece too, because of course, the starting running back of the 49ers is highly valuable. I mean, today, again, I have Jordan Mason as my number 7 running back. He sustains that value from where I had him ranked on my Tuesday running back rankings video. So again, regardless of who's starting, there's a lot of value to be had there. If you wanted to pivot, you can. You can trade for a Kyron, but they've got to give you another piece if they're trading for it, in my mind. I'm not going to just trade away McCaffrey and not also trade away Mason and cash in on that value. Thank you for the question. Watch Hangout. All right, Dylan Feeney sends in a question. Feeney. Okay, full PPR. Neighbors or James Conner in the flex? Let me go ahead and see where I have them ranked accordingly. So if I go to my full PPR rankings, Control F, Neighbors. So as it currently stands, I do have Neighbors ahead of James Conner. He's about 5 ranks ahead of him in a full PPR scoring format. It's relatively close. But yeah, in terms of the overall ranking, Malik Neighbors does in fact have the higher between the two. They're both should be great plays. Specifically Neighbors, again, you got to remember he takes on Washington secondary. besides the fact that Washington's secondary is already dealing with injuries, they also are, two of the, I don't want to say the worst cornerbacks, but they're definitely put in difficult situations to have to rebound some of the coverage that they're in. With St. Juste and Michael Davis, they really, are fed to the wolves on a weekly basis in that kind of scenario, which, honestly it sucks. But in this situation, we'll just go ahead and we'll roll with Neighbors. I think you misunderstood me. I need 3 of the 5. Ooh, okay. Let me go ahead and scroll back up here, Tristan. Let's scroll back up. Here we go. Let me see if I can get to your original question. Need an RB2, a wide receiver. Oh, okay. So got it. So it wasn't 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. Okay. So it's an Okay, so we need 3 of the potential 5. So of the potential that you have here, Derrick Henry plays at running back. Tristan Ewing. Your wide receiver is Chris Olave. And your flex out of the group ends up being Zach Charbonnet. Thank you for the question. Apologies for the misunderstanding, and hopefully you hear the response so that you can get your lineup set and ready to go. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, let's see here. Alejandro sends in a question. Alejandro, thank you. Says, do I pick up Jamison Williams for Trey Benson or Wan'Dale Robinson in a full PPR league? Connor always getting hurt. I feel Benson value would be huge. Yeah, listen, Trey Benson is a player that absolutely, without a doubt, has long-term lottery ticket value in the absence of James Conner. Again, he has never played a full healthy season. It's not to say that he has to get injured this year. It's just to say that in terms of a pattern of instances, he does get hurt more often than not. Therefore, in your position, if you would like to keep Benson in order to ensure that you can kind of recuperate all the value from Connor once he does get injured, or if he does get injured, yeah, I would pick up Jamison Williams and I would drop Wan'Dale Robinson accordingly in a full PPR. Thank you for your question. Let's see here. If we scroll down a little bit here. Okay. So again, for those of you who are joining us this morning, welcome. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Again, to the right side of the screen, I have updated rankings as of this morning, ready to go. For those of you guys who have signed up via Underdog Fantasy, as of August 1st, 2024, until yesterday, September 14th, 2024, I've sent out those rankings accordingly to your email from mine directly to yours, which includes my weekly rankings. Again, check your spam folder if you have done so using code Andrew, making that first time deposit minimum of $10. And for those of you who are Patreon, the rankings were already posted earlier today, so be sure to switch over there and check those out. Thank you very much. Okay. But other than that, the rankings on screen are up to date as of this morning and good to go for those of you who are interested. Otherwise, we will continue to answer questions and keep it moving. Thank you very much. And if you haven't yet already, again, click the like button. Thank you. All right, let's see here. We had a question that rolls in here. Let me just scroll down and refresh just so we're on the same page. Okay, here we go. So after Alejandro's question, we had 501 Sabu. Sabu used to be a very popular ECW wrestler from what I remember back in the day. That's the only thing that I can remember that name being correlated to. Anyway, 0.5 PPR, start 3, Marvin Harrison Jr., DJ, as in DJ Moore, Amari Cooper, or Jaden Reed. So if in fact we're going to be in a situation in which Keenan Allen and or Rome Odunze are both out, for example, DJ Moore would have a lot of potential value within the given week. But if in fact they're both going to play, which I don't believe is going to be the case, we'll have to wait and see how time progresses here. But if in fact they both do end up playing, I probably pivot DJ Moore down within my rankings, honestly. And then I probably, let's see here, of your available options, the way that I would go about it is most likely playing. Actually, no. I mean, considering what you have available, of the 4, regardless of what happens, Marvin Harrison, DJ Moore, and Amari Cooper play. Thank you, 501 Sabu. Appreciate it. Okay, NR sent in a question, but NR didn't have anything attached to it, which is it's not good. But we're going to see if we can find the question that potentially was asked. Okay, NR sends in a question. Says, please, in a full PPR, is the lineup looking okay? We have Kyler, Jonathan Taylor, Pacheco, Garrett Wilson. On the flex, Mason, okay, very well. Chargers defense, any changes needed? Stroud, Chase, Rice, and I don't even know. Pick up Neighbors, and I can pick up Neighbors, Godwin, or Nico. I played Hill and Kincaid. Christian McCaffrey's on the IR. can pick up Neighbors, Godwin, or Nico. Okay, so as it currently stands, I wouldn't play any of those 3 options over Rice or Chase this week. But as for your alternative options of having Taylor, Pacheco, Garrett Wilson, you're good to go. Mason's at flex. Yeah, I wouldn't change anything there. NR, you're good to go there. Thank you for the question again. Appreciate it. Flawless sends in a question. Says, I'm torn between Najee and J.K. Dobbins, volume versus upside. Yeah, I mean, that's certainly something that is always going to be, I guess, eating at us over the course of weeks. There are going to be certain circumstances here where it's like, hey, we know that Najee Harris is probably going to get somewhere between 18 to 20 touches. Then we also know that J.K. Dobbins, even though he won't have that high of a volume, has by far and away the best matchup at the running back position. And they play against Carolina, who could put themselves into bad situations with turnovers, which would just lead to formal points continuing to be stacked up for a player of J.K. Dobbins' caliber. So in that circumstance, I get it. I understand. I empathize with the difficulty of the decision. The way that I've just kind of broken it down in my mind as of this current circumstance, I like them both, but I do think that the Carolina Panthers matchup as a whole just lends to more potential for J.K. Dobbins in comparison to the fact that Najee Harris, besides the fact that he will get volume, still has to compete with the potential of Justin Fields, Jaylen Warren, or Cordero Patterson very easily stealing a touchdown from him, which again are all going to be potential vulture options in that backfield that all have rushing upside, which again kind of scares me in those circumstances. But yeah, if you feel the opposite way, you can still go Najee. I don't have an issue with it, but JK is my suggestion. Thank you. Eric Sanchez sends in a question. Eric, I don't see your message attached, so let me see if I can look it up in the chat. There was no message in the chat, Eric Sanchez, so if you could do me a favor, type it in the live chat, it'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you. Daniel Gonzalez sends in a question. Says, in a 10-team league, PPR Jacobs or Marvin Harrison? Let me see how I have them ranked in a full PPR. Marvin Harrison. Okay. So as it currently stands, I do have Marvin Harrison Jr. ahead of J.K. Dobbins in a full PPR scoring format. In a half PPR, it would be the other way around, but as it currently stands, full PPR, I will take the rookie wide receiver. Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate it. Jude Chavez sends in a question. Says, Dobbins or Diggs in the flex PPR? Rice, Evans, Kyren, Mason. Okay, so first and foremost, with the initial question, I think it's Diggs most likely. Let me see where I have Diggs accordingly. Diggs is ahead of Dobbins. Now, that's a full PPR scoring format. Now, as for your follow-up to this question, Rice, Evans, Kyren, Mason. I'm assuming that's the rest of your team as it stands currently. Really strong team. Again, you have the luxury of having Dobbins, who went ahead and was a great week 1 play. Obviously, he's going to continue to play well, but in this circumstance, I will lean towards the direction of playing Diggs there in a full PPR. Thank you. David Morrill sends in a question. Says, higher floor, Ladd or DeMarcus Robinson? In a full PPR scoring format, the higher floor of production is just based off receptions and yardage alone. I would probably say it's Ladd. In a potential half PPR format, it could be DeMarcus Robinson because I do believe he has a little bit more touchdown upside in comparison. But considering the full PPR format, the higher floor is Ladd McConkey there. Thank you, David. Thomas Pena sends in a question. Thomas, I don't see your question in the area, but let me go ahead and see if I can Control F find it in the live chat. I did. Full PPR. Play Lazard and Worthy, or play London, Alec Pierce, and Tank Dell. Who should I start? Okay, of the available options here, Thomas, the way that I rank them, at least in my mind, would be like London 1, Worthy 2, Tank Dell 3. If you can play those 3, or at least 2 of those 3, that would be my suggestion going into this week. London, Worthy, Dell in that order. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Scrolling down, we had a question from Flotation Swag. It says, check Twitter, full PPR. What are we rolling with, champ? Okay, let's see here. Let's open up the Twitters and let's see where we're at here. Okay. So I'm assuming your team is on the left as per usual. So let's see here. What do we have? Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, Etienne, Eckler, Devontae Adams, Lockett, Amari Cooper, Sam Laporta, Singletary, and the Cowboys defense. Your potential pivoting options would be Freiermuth, which we're not interested in, Leggett, which in comparison to what you have currently in is not worth it. So it's just a matter of Cowboys versus 49ers, which as it currently stands in terms of my rankings, I do have the Dallas Cowboys ahead of the 49ers just very slightly. Other than that, yeah, there's not really anything that you're changing. I'm leaving it as is. You're ready to go. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Flotation. Hope you're doing well. All right, let's see here. Scrolling down, we have Kevin Smith's question, who says, sup, Andrew? Full PPR, I need one flex. Marvin Harrison or Montgomery or Likely. In a full PPR, I'm leaning towards playing. Yeah, if it was my team, I would play Marvin Harrison Jr. in a full PPR. Thank you. Let's see here. What is this question? Interesting. Okay. Let's go ahead and go to the next one. We have iShine101 who says 10-team PPR flex. Spot need outside. Okay, what does it say? Flex spot need upside. Okay, very well. Out of Tank Dell and Najee Harris. In a full PPR, if I'm going for pure upside, I'm playing Tank Dell, and I'm doing it very confidently this week. I understand it could be a tough decision, but in the full PPR format, the wide receiver in this circumstance is gaining the advantage, and I do really think that Tank Dell is going to have himself a pretty explosive week this week. That's why I put him apart, among my hidden gems of sorts, even though he's not really hidden, but a lot of people have kind of looked at his week 1 production, thought, oh, okay, well, I guess he is really the number 3. I think today will kind of shock people. And I'm hoping, at least. So I play Tank Dell there, iShine. Thank you. Hodge, WBDJDKDKDK, sends in a question. Says, full PPR, pick 3. Jordan Mason, Zach Charbonnet, Brandon Ayuk, or Tank Dell. In this current circumstance, full PPR, Jordan Mason and Zach Charbonnet are the automatic plays. As for the full PPR format between the wide receivers, let's go ahead and see how I have them ranked accordingly. I have Tank Dell here, and I have him ahead of Brandon Ayuk. Therefore, the 3 suggestions I would make, again, are Zach Charbonnet, number 1, Jordan Mason, 2, and Tank Dell, 3 there. Hodge, thank you. Appreciate it. Jocko sends in a question. Says, greetings. In a full PPR, Amari Cooper or Worthy? Thanks. Okay, let me see how I have it ranked. So, as it currently stands, Amari Cooper sits there. He is ahead of Worthy in a full PPR. Is it the same in a half PPR? It is not the same in a half PPR. Yeah, so the PPR difference does shift Amari Cooper in terms of my projections ahead of Xavier Worthy. I think Xavier Worthy is a great play. He's top 26 in at least both of the overall scoring formats. But yeah, in this circumstance, Amari Cooper would take the cake, at least in my rankings, in a full PPR format. Thank you, Jocko. Cinco2X says, can you give a little detail with Dak over Stafford? Yeah, I think it's relatively easy. Stafford's offensive line is really banged up. So if, in fact, we're going to be in a situation with no Puka Nacua and a banged up offensive line to where at least, there's a possibility that by the time we get to game time, the right tackle and the right guard and the left guard, all 3 starters are out this week, right? If you're going to be in a situation of that nature, the potential of Matthew Stafford getting, listen, as a Rams fan, it could potentially happen where he can get broken. Any game, if they send enough pressure, it could happen. That scares me. I never want to, throw out a player in which there is the potential fear of that taking place over a player of Dak Prescott's caliber that I know will be fine. There's not going to be any sort of a potential of him getting injured or anything of that extent. So it's not to say that Stafford is going to get beat up and destroyed today. It's just saying between the 2 of them, that is the reason why Stafford's lower. Otherwise, if Puka was healthy, his offensive line was healthy, I'm pretty sure I'd have Stafford ahead of Dak Prescott this week. Okay, moving on from Singo's question, we had Carlo. Carlo, where did your question go? I tried to... Okay, well, I have to refresh it because I lost the question. Wow, that was really fast. I don't know where it went. Carlo says, in the 12-team full PPR, I was offered Cup for Jordan Mason and James Conner. Should I take it? Okay, at wide receiver, I have Jefferson, Reed, Brian Thomas. At running back, I have Gibbs, Connor, Mason, and Brian Robinson Jr. So you were offered to give away Mason and Connor for Cup. You don't have Christian McCaffrey. The issue is you're giving away too much running back depth. Okay, so this is the issue, right? The fact that you're giving away Mason already is interesting. Great, fine. I don't have an issue with it. But you have to give away James Conner and not get any recouped running back value. So you're losing 2 starting running backs for a receiver. That's the difficulty. That being said, I'm okay with the deal overall, but we're gonna have to hit the waiver wire and figure out a way to go get another running back. Because if anything happens to Gibbs or Brian Robinson, you're screwed. You will have stepped in the bucket and it is done. And you're gonna have to. Sheesh. You might have to go pick up backups for Gibbs. You might have to go pick up what's his name? I'm trying to remember the 3rd string running back for the Detroit Lions. I think it's Craig. Something Craig. Am I crazy? Let's see here. Let's actually put my knowledge to the test in terms of third string running backs on the Detroit Lions. Lions. Yep, Craig Reynolds. That's what you'd have to go pick up just in case. But in the circumstance, in terms of selling high on Mason with the potential of, not having McCaffrey, I don't mind it. Thank you, Carlo. Jerry Mendoza sends in a question, says, full PPR flex slot. Shahid or Ayuk? I'd rather play Ayuk. Thank you. Aiden Hatch sends in a question, says, in a full PPR, DJ Moore, Jameson Williams, BTJ. Yeah, I'd rather play. Yeah. Out of the three, I feel far more confident playing DJ Moore. Again, the other receivers in that offense are dealing with injuries. There's nothing that says that they, don't end up playing and getting injured and leaving early. Also, Jameson Williams dealing with an ankle injury, and BTJ has a really difficult matchup against the Cleveland secondary. Denzel Ward is no joke. So for right now, I would lean towards DJ Moore. They're Aiden Hatch. Thank you. Memphis Bear says, full PPR. In the flex, Zach Charbonnet or DJ Moore? I'm pretty sure. Let me just confirm this. Full PPR. Charbonnet is ahead of DJ Moore in a full PPR. That is, in fact, the case, and that's the direction I would go with. Thank you very much. Okay. After we had Memphis Bear, we have Luis Castillo, who sends in a question, says, hey, Andrew, too much tequila from last night. Who, you? Because definitely not me. I was doing rankings last night. I'm trying to get everything ready to go. 10 point per 10 team full PPR. I have London and Godwin starting. Scary Terry on the bench and A.J. Brown. Very well. Keep London in the event that A.J. Brown plays and switch them out. Yeah, that's fine. Godwin's got to play in this scenario. But then you have, the pivoting option of if A.J. Brown looks healthy and by tomorrow, let's say 4 o'clock, he's pregame warm-up, everyone says he's looking good and that he's going to be fired up. Yeah, you would then play him ahead of London. Otherwise, you'd play London in his stead. Yeah, that's probably the best potential pivoting option you could have there, Luis. So you're in a lucky position there. Joe B sends in a question. Joe, hope you're doing well, sir. Full PPR says Stroud or Richardson. Yeah, as long as it's a 4-point per passing touchdown league, even a 6-point per passing touchdown league, I would feel really confident playing Anthony Richardson. All 3 starts of his entire career where he has played from bookend to bookend, start to finish, he's always been a top 5 quarterback within that given week. He is incredibly high upside with rushing ability, deep ball receiving game, and the fact that they take on a Jordan Love-less Green Bay Packers. And again, even though Gus Bradley's going to do some fuckery today and honestly may screw some things up for us, understand that it should be a very advantageous position for the Indianapolis Colts and their offense. So that's the direction I'm going in. As for your next question, I also need a running back spot and a flex out of the following: Pacheco, Connor, Mason. Okay, so of those 3, I'd play Pacheco and Mason very confidently. And then as for your final end of this question, in another league, London or Ford in the flex, under the assumption that it's also in a full PPR. And in so London and Ford in a full PPR. Let's see how I have them ranked accordingly. So Ford is there. He is ahead of London. So in a full PPR, I'll take Ford. As for your final question, Joe, Ingram. So again, CJ Stroud versus Richardson, we'll take Richardson. The next question, we'll take Pacheco and Mason. The next after that, we'll take Ford. And the final, we'll take Ingram. Thank you, Joe. Have a good day. Natalie sends in a question. Natalie Berman says, in a half PPR scoring format, I have A.J. Brown, play Charbonnet today, or wait and plug in Drake London tomorrow. Very good question. Okay. In a half PPR scoring format, let me look at the difference I have between the two. I mean, ultimately, you have 3 great options. So in this overall situation, you're really, I don't want to say that there's no wrong answer, but it feels like there really is no wrong answer in the circumstance. But when I look at the rankings overall that I have here, I do have Charbonnet pretty extensively ahead of Drake London in a half PPR scoring format. So I feel really confident that if you just want to play Charbonnet and not have to worry about tomorrow, you can. Obviously, trying to cash in on the upside of A.J. Brown does seem like a pretty solid idea. So if you feel comfortable doing so, I'd say, yeah, let's try to wait for tomorrow, see if A.J. Brown can go if he does play him, otherwise pivot to London. But if you're kind of risk averse, you don't really want to have to deal with the potential of all the madness that could take place tomorrow, playing Charbonnet is a fantastic play. So it's kind of up to you in terms of that circumstance. If it was my team, what I would suggest is legitimately just playing Charbonnet because you have such a good option already available and you're not really having to be sorry rather than just throw in the safe option and get the volume of points that is already correlated with Sharps. Thank you. Dylan G says flex Amari Cooper or Terry McLaurin. Between the two of them, I feel far more comfortable playing Amari Cooper. Again, I mentioned this earlier this week in the Hidden Gems video. Amari Cooper will be taking on a secondary in which one of their starters, their starting cornerback, their primary cornerback is out, starting safety is out, and another one of their cornerbacks could eventually even end up missing today. I know he was questionable. We'll have to wait and see if he's active. Definitely not 100% healthy, but Amari Cooper would be the play in that circumstance. As for your follow-up question, Goff or Burrow, I would play Goff very comfortably. Last season against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they were a passing funnel in both those games, 2 passing touchdowns at a base minimum 270 plus yards through the air. Should be able to light it up today with Amon-Ra and Laporta. Thank you, Dylan G. Shane sends in a question, says in a full PPR flex, pick one, Shaheed, JSN, Ingram, or Broncos running backs. Okay, let me see where I have Ingram in comparison to the bunch, because I think Ingram's probably in a full PPR going to be the highest ranked player of the situation. So where I have him in comparison to, let's say, where's Jaleel McLaughlin? Because that really would be the only other player that I'm kind of pivoting towards, which I don't have them even close. So in this circumstance, of the available options that you have here, Shane, I would lean towards playing Evan Ingram. Thank you. Xanthius Sutton says, question is in the chat. Okay, very well, Xanthius. Before I get to you, I do remember that I did ask Eric Sanchez to type his question in the chat, so I do want to make sure that I can get to that one. Eric Sanchez, I got your question. I see it right now. I'm going to go ahead and answer it. Thank you, Eric, for typing that in the chat. So he says the following. In a full PPR, start one, Harrison Jr., Metcalf, or Watson. Yeah, under the assumption that Watson is Christian Watson, I would play Marvin Harrison Jr. above all three, among the 3 wide receivers. Marvin Harrison would be my start in a full PPR. Thank you for the question, Eric. Okay, so now we need to find Xanthius' question. Xanthius. All right, I found it. Thank you. Xanthius says, should I play Chris Godwin / Tony Pollard for A.J. Brown? Yeah. I mean, already I think I'm very comfortable doing so. Let's see here. A.J. Brown, I have Jahan Dotson. I'm starting Mike Evans and Devontae Adams. Should I trust Baker to support Evans and Godwin? I would, especially against Detroit. Again, I mean, last time he played against the Detroit Lions, he had 370 passing yards and 3 passing touchdowns. So I think we're in a pretty good situation. Yeah, in this circumstance, considering you have the opportunity to play Chris Godwin / Pollard, like one of those two options, yeah, I would just play Chris Godwin very confidently, and I wouldn't even try to test out A.J. Brown tomorrow. I think I'd be comfortable doing that. Now, if you're in a situation where it's like, you can play, you'd have to play both Godwin and Pollard over A.J. Brown. The Pollard play is a little bit sketchy, but I'd probably still roll with it. I think it's safe rather than sorry, and you kind of just give A.J. Brown the week off. Thank you, Xanthius. Appreciate it. Okay, moving on from Xanthius' question, we move on to content by Kai, who says, PPR, Marvin Harrison Jr., Charbonnet, or Singletary. I think Charbonnet is the highest ranked of the bunch. Thank you. Let me confirm that via my full PPR. Sharps is going to be there and accordingly ahead of the rest. Yep, he is. Thank you. All right, we move on to Nick, who sends in a question and says, start Kyren Williams, James Conner, Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins. For my 2 running backs and flex. Very well. So if I'm only allowed to play 3 of these players, I'm playing Kyren Williams, Jonathan Taylor, and James Conner, and I'm benching J.K. Dobbins. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate it. Kevin Gonzalez sends in a question. Let me see if I can find it. I think the thing was attached originally. Kevin, there you go. I found it. Nico Collins or Mason in a full PPR, says Kevin Gonzalez. I would play Mason very confidently. Thank you. Appreciate the question. Moving on to Retro Gandalf. That's a pretty good name. Says, play Pierce or Lazard. Roll the dice with A.J. Brown, question mark. Okay. Between the two, okay, play Pierce or Lazard. Who the heck is... Hold on, wait. Am I crazy? You're going to play Alex Pierce? I was about to say, who the heck is Pierce? I was just making sure it wasn't Damian Pierce. I would roll the dice with A.J. Brown. If it was me and I have the opportunity, you have an open IR spot, you have the ability to pick up Jahan Dotson, I would roll A.J. Brown out there. Or try to, and then pivot if I needed to. Retro Gandalf, thank you. iShine101 follows up with a question, says J.K. Dobbins against the Panthers or Kamara against Dallas. If you're playing in a full PPR format, even if you're playing in a half PPR, I think the volume of receptions that Kamara is going to inherently have today is going to be at such a high volume in order to stop that pass rush of the Dallas Cowboys. I think his value is kind of already baked into a pretty high overall floor of production in that circumstance. I'd probably just play Kamara. He's my stud. I mean, again, he's one of my top running backs for a reason, and I will continue to roll him in that kind of scenario. If you're in a full PPR, it's not really a question at all. It would only ever be J.K. Dobbins in a standard 0 point per reception format. Thank you. Rusty Wright sends in a question. Says, could you elaborate on Jaden versus Kyler? Yeah, I think it's pretty simple. Between the two of them, Jaden Daniels has the easier matchup by far and away. He takes on the New York Giants. That secondary is in shambles. Obviously, we just saw last week Sam Darnold. Let me see here. What was the stats exactly? Because I mentioned it earlier this week. I just can't pull it off the top of my head in terms of his passing completion percentage. Yeah. 79.2% passing completion percentage, 19 of 24 passing, 2 passing touchdowns, 208 passing yards in a game in which they stopped throwing the ball, very early within the overall scenario. Now, considering, again, that was a one-sided affair in which they were pouring it on that defense, just imagine when in this scenario in which the New York Giants are also going to be able to score on the Washington Commanders effectively as well because the Commanders' defense isn't great. So this could be, or what I'm expecting to be, a potential back-and-forth shootout of sorts, even though, the implication is that we're going to have to hope that Daniel Jones can keep it competitive. I think he'll still be able to do so considering how terrible Washington's secondary has been. I think it could be a very easy back-and-forth shootout in comparison to Kyler, who definitely does have a more difficult matchup. And based on what we have seen already from Jaden Daniels, he is far more inclined to utilize his legs on the goal line, which, again, is very valuable at the quarterback position. And Kyler, again, I mean, obviously, we're still another year removed from the ACL, but I don't think he's as active as, Jaden Daniels is in terms of goal line rushing attempts for touchdowns. Thank you. Dylan G says, it said full flex, Cooper or Terry. Isn't that what I read, though? Flex, Amari Cooper or Terry, full. Goff or Burrow. I think I understood that the question. Yeah, full PPR. Is that what you're talking about? If it's full PPR, I'm still playing Amari Cooper. Thank you very much, Dylan. Appreciate it. Bale Kim sends in a question. Bale, hope you're doing well. Bale says, in a full PPR, DK Metcalf or Charbonnet? I would take Charbonnet there very comfortably. Thank you, Bale. Anthony sends in a question. Says, Keenan Allen or Jerome Ford in a full PPR? I would comfortably play Jerome Ford there. Thank you. Young Money says, my man. What's up, Young Money? Says, just wanted to say thanks for the help. No problem. If you have any questions, let me know. Just type it in the live chat and I'll try to get to it. Thank you. Dior Kev says, in a full PPR, I need some positional points. Quarterback, we have Herbert, Carr, or Fields. Between the three of them, I have Herbert relatively close, I think, in terms of the rankings in comparison to Fields, but he's just outside of the top 17. Yeah, so as it currently stands, Fields is at number 14, and Justin Herbert's at number 18 overall. They're in different tiers, so I still would play Justin Fields in this circumstance, but yeah, it is in a position to where I could absolutely justify and make an argument, in a powerful one, to playing Justin Fields in comparison to Justin Herbert in comparison to Justin Fields. But as it currently stands, I feel really comfortable rolling with Fields in that scenario. If you were playing in a 6 point per passing touchdown league, I would then just play Herbert. But in a 4 point, Fields does take the cake. As for your follow-up question, flex, Zay Flowers or Ayuk. Again, everything that I've looked up over the course of the last couple of days, especially like yesterday, in terms of Ayuk, kind of leans towards the idea that he may still be in a limited capacity. Limited in the idea that, again, he's still not in 100% game shape and they may not roll him out there for a high volume of snaps in comparison to his, norm from 2023. Again, last week only played 60% of the offensive snaps. If he's going to be in a very similar role, I'd rather just play Zay Flowers in a game which should be one-sided, sure, but could very easily benefit from a high volume of opportunity early and potentially a touchdown. So Zay Flowers is the direction there. Thank you. Stay hydrated. I will. Thank you. All right. Johnny Moss sends in a question. Says, in a full PPR, I need 2. A.J. Brown, Pickens, Cooper, Pollard. In a full PPR, okay, so considering the alternative options you have in comparison to A.J. Brown, you could play it safe rather than sorry and just go with Cooper and Pollard and just send it, and you're good to go. Or if you have the potential options of picking up Jahan Dotson, you could press the issue and try to go for tomorrow's upside of A.J. Brown playing. I think it's kind of dependent on how you see this matchup going for you this week. If I was to just objectively tell you, I would tell you to just be safe and take the Cooper Pollard role and just let those guys play it out. But yeah, in the scenario of, let's say you're playing against the guy who has James Cook and Devon Achane, you're like, listen, Andrew, I need all the upside I could possibly get. then you could try to go for the A.J. Brown play, but even then, I'd still say it's risky, and you just rather play Cooper and Pollard there, Johnny. Thank you. Hippo Sack says, Palmer or Lazard in the flex full PPR? Palmer or Lazard? I don't even know if Palmer's playing. I know he's trending towards playing, but I don't know for sure if he's actually going to play. So for right now, again, it's only 7:45 a.m. PST. They'll probably be warming up within the next hour, and then we'll get a confirmation of sorts in that circumstance as to whether or not he's going to give it a go. For now, put Lazard in the lineup. Until then, if anything changes, let me see here. Where do I even have Palmer, even if he plays today? Accordingly, I have Lazard ahead of Palmer because, again, I wasn't certain whether or not he was going to play. I have a questionable tag next to him in my rankings. So even if Palmer did play, I was already going to go with Lazard. So I guess Lazard is the play in that scenario. Hippo Sack, thank you. All right. So for those of you, of course, who are joining us this morning, welcome. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Again, there's over 1,000 of you. To the right side of the screen, as you can see, there is a filtering ranking system that continues to go over and over. It's a slideshow of sorts that I've integrated in here that include my rankings as of this morning at all primary interpositional rankings. So if you want to know my top 12 kickers and defenses, boom, they're right there. Subsequently after, you want to figure out my top 36 running backs, top 36 wide receivers, top 16 quarterbacks, and tight ends. They're all going to be filtering on screen. If you want to specifically kind of look at it for a little bit longer than the 10 to 15 seconds that it filters through, you can pause the stream and then go ahead and fast forward after you're doing so. But these are my rankings as of this morning, ready to go, updated. They do not include any players from Thursday. So if you guys appreciate the rankings on screen, be sure to click the like button down below. It goes a long way. Thank you. Again, if you guys are going to send in a question via Super Chat, be sure to include your scoring format and make sure that the question is actually attached to the Super Chat itself, because it is going to be difficult for me to go and round up the questions as I typically, try to do. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We'll have to wait and see. But again, thank you. Appreciate it. Continuing on with answering questions, shall we? All right. Blake Dean sends in a question. Blake, hope you're doing well. Says Ford or Flowers in a full PPR. Okay, let's see here. Where do I have them accordingly? If I look up Ford, I have Ford ahead of Flowers. I'd play Ford there. Thank you. Moving on to the next question, we have Kenny. Kenny says, in a 10-team full PPR, we have James Conner, Devontae Adams, and Charbonnet. Who am I flexing? Okay, I think it's either Adams or Conner. Let me see how I have them kind of set up here in a full PPR. So in a full PPR, it's relatively close between Adams and Conner. But as it currently stands, I do have Adams the highest ranked of the bunch in a full PPR scoring format. Thank you for the question. I appreciate it, Kenny. All right, Tristan Ewing says, different league, full PPR, Eckler, Charbonnet, Jameson Williams, or Deontay Johnson. Yeah, between those available 4 options, I would play Zach Charbonnet as your flex in a full PPR this week. Thank you, Tristan. Connor McSpadden says, in a full PPR, good morning, pick one of the following. Flex A.J. Brown, Tank Dell, Trey McBride, Jerome Ford, or Xavier Worthy. Sheesh. Okay, you've got really good potential alternative options in comparison to A.J. Brown to the extent to where I'd feel comfortable pivoting accordingly. Let me see where I have Ford in comparison to the bunch in a full PPR. Just to reference point it. Okay, so he's there. Everybody else is sitting around there. Where's McBride? McBride's probably near Kelsey, which, yeah, they're right there. Okay, so of the available options you have in this scenario, Connor, I'm going to lean towards playing Jerome Ford. Again, I'd rather be safe than sorry in this scenario. I don't really want to have to push the issue to Monday with A.J. Brown and have the potential of getting burnt. So in this scenario, I think Jerome Ford is probably the safest play and has a pretty high floor of production with the overall upside of a touchdown as well. If you had the potential of playing 2 flexes here, Connor, the next best option, in my opinion, would probably be either Worthy or Dell. In a full PPR, I'd probably go towards Dell. Thank you. AJ sends in a question, says, in 5 full PPR leagues, I want to start Taysom Hill over Parkinson since I led Cook versus Allen. Okay. Got London in all lineups. Do I diversify? Did I win? Okay, hold up. Wait a minute. Okay. I'm just trying to understand what the heck this question is, AJ. So you want to play Taysom Hill in a full PPR ahead of Colby Parkinson in all 5 of your leagues. If you would like to do that, go for it. I wouldn't suggest it because, again, if Foster Moreau was out with a concussion, and he was out because of the protocol, then I would say sure, Taysom Hill's a better play. But considering Foster Moreau is most likely going to play and play the vast majority of snaps at tight end, it does dig into the upside of Taysom within the receiving game. Additionally, Taysom, again, he's going to need to score a rushing touchdown, which is difficult in comparison to Parkinson, who could very easily make his week with 5 receptions for 50 yards and, be a top 5-6 tight end just with 10 fantasy points, right? So in this scenario, I'd rather just probably roll with the safety of tight end. If you want to play Taysom, again, that is your prerogative as the final decision maker of your team. Now, as for your follow-up, got London in all my lineups. Do I diversify? I mean, it depends on what other alternative options you have. If you have London in all your lineups and you're like, hey, Andrew, I could play Judy in one of these leagues, I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want to do this. Just give me London in every league, right? But if you have like, hey, I've got London here, I have the potential I could play Amari Cooper in one of the, yeah, let's go ahead and let's just throw Amari Cooper in that other one, just in case. As for your final question, did I win the trade between Debo plus Connor for Ayuk and Henry? Debo, Connor, Ayuk, Henry. Okay, so once Ayuk gets fully 100% Ayuk, I would rather have the Ayuk Henry side. Okay, until then, Debo, Connor probably as of the early half of the season, when I say early half, maybe the first 6-7 weeks, is going to be the advantage. But after that, Ayuk and Henry would probably be the higher upside of the two. Thank you, AJ. Alex Soundgrass sends in a question, says, morning, my friend. Yes, morning. Missed yesterday's super chat. Did I miss it? I answered it. I know that I answered it. Maybe you missed it, but yeah, I apologize if perhaps I didn't answer it in a timely manner as to when you sent it in. So apologies. Let's get to this question. Standard scoring. Start Adams or Godwin. Very well. Between the two of them in a standard scoring format, we're taking Godwin. As for your follow-up question, Anthony Richardson or Jaden Daniels, a quarterback, I'm taking Anthony Richardson there. Also, thoughts on James Cook going forward. Don't expect, it's the same thing that I said with Saquon Barkley after week 1. Don't expect the quarterback to not come in and steal the touchdowns going forward, because it probably will happen. Because there were games last season late in which James Cook found himself a lot of touchdown upside. But the vast majority of the rushing touchdowns in this offense are going to go in the direction of Josh Allen. So just expect that to be the potential case going forward. And yes, it is exciting to have him, have a monster week. But, he's going to come back down to reality soon enough. HFL 5864 sends in a question, says full PPR. Start Murray or Jaden Daniels? Feel way more comfortable with Jaden Daniels there. I know that you have Jaden Daniels at 4, Murray at 7. Can you give me some context? Yeah, I gave a little bit earlier. Again, it's just a matter of the matchup itself against the New York Giants being extremely advantageous, and the fact that the Washington defense is non-existent. Therefore, it's a really high-scoring potential matchup back and forth between these two teams that could just continue to push the score higher and higher. In comparison to Kyler, who has a more difficult matchup, who has less rushing upside and potential down on the goal line. That was pretty much what I presented to somebody else earlier in terms of the context. Okay, any new updates here? Okay, nothing there. Okay, moving on. As for your next question, okay, there wasn't any other question there. HFL, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat. Let's see here. Black Lagoon 2005 says, hey, Andrew, in a 10-team standard league, I need a flex between Singletary, Swift, and Ayuk. Standard scoring format, 0 points per reception. I'm playing Singletary there. Thank you. Spencer Goldberg sends in a question. Spencer, thank you. Says, hi, Andrew. Diggs or Dell? Missed the rankings. As it currently stands, it's probably, it is Diggs. I think Dell could make a lot of noise today, but just based off like the default of safety, regardless of scoring format, I think Diggs is the guy that if it was my team, I'd probably end up throwing out into my lineup more often than not. Thank you. It's okay to laugh. Sends in a question. Says full PPR. Scary Terry or Ramondre? I feel more comfortable playing Ramondre there. Thank you. Pedro Lucario sends in a question. Says in a standard scoring format, I need a wide receiver, 2 running backs, a tight end, and a flex. Very well. These are my available options. So of the options you have available to you, which again, you have an abundance of upside players. Bijan, Gibbs, and Mason are your 3 starters in terms of the 2 running backs and the flex. Bijan, Gibbs, and Mason. Here, Pedro. Amon-Ra plays. So does Rashee Rice. Wait, you can't play them both. Oh, God. Okay, my brain is starting to hurt. Okay, so you have so much talent. Standard scoring format. 0 points per reception. Bijan, Gibbs, Mason, Amon-Ra. And then you have to play probably Evan Ingram there. Yeah, you do. Bijan, Gibbs, Mason, Amon-Ra, Ingram. Thank you, Pedro. Appreciate it. All right. Duran Johnson sends in a question. Says in a full PPR, Who do I start between Lamb, St. Brown, Olave, Godwin? Lamb number 1, St. Brown number 2, Godwin 3, Olave 4. Depending on how many you have available to start, do it as such. Thank you. Sam Castillo says, pick 2 in a full PPR. Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, Zach Moss, Rashid Shaheed, and Aaron Jones. If it's my team in a full PPR, I would end up playing. Actually, let me see. Aaron Jones is a for sure start. As to Christian Kirk versus Zach Moss, that's really the question. Now I need to just check my rankings accordingly. Zach Moss, Christian Kirk, where art thou in comparison? Okay, yeah. I mean, in this circumstance, I probably end up playing both the running backs. I probably go with Aaron Jones and I probably go with Zach Moss in that scenario. Thank you for the question. Appreciate it. Christian Kirk's relatively close to Moss. I just don't know if I don't look. The sketchy part about Christian Kirk is, again, it's either him or Evan Ingram. I don't know if they can both coexist and both find an abundance of success. There's a chance that it could end up being the case, but considering they both really just do function out of the slot position, it's feast or famine for the two. So I'd rather just go with the alternative options of the running backs you have there available, Sam. Thank you. Reuben Roberts sends in a question. Says, in a full PPR, I have Richardson, Gibbs, Rashad White, Jefferson, Ayuk, Christian Kirk, Kincaid, Ford, Eckler, Palmer. Any moves to improve at wide receiver? I mean, look, Jefferson, Ayuk are really solid. Just give Ayuk a couple more weeks and he'll be fine. As for alternative potential options there, I'm not trying to trade Anthony Richardson, Gibbs, White away. You could try to trade Ford potentially in order to get a wide receiver upgrade of sorts. Probably just wait after this week. See which wide receivers have had 2 terrible weeks to begin the season, and then try to target them in a potential trade offer. That's the way that I would kind of approach it in terms of a buy low going into week 3. Reuven, thank you. As for your final question, thoughts on Kincaid? It seems like, listen, he got more utilization, but again, that game wasn't really a test for him, more than just a blowout in one direction. When Tua turns over the ball 3 times and then leaves the game, there's really no reason for Josh Allen to throw in the second half, which obviously hurts because, again, Kincaid was in a pretty good pace to have himself a solid game there. So I'm not too worried still. iShine101 has a follow-up, says, I see you have Harris behind Jacobs. Very well. I feel like the Colts will load the box. Yes. Look, so the only reason why I have Harris behind Jacobs is because every time, and it is quite literally, every time I specifically go against the running back that is a good running back, and I say, guys, I don't like the matchup X, Y, or Z. It's not even a matter of matchup. I don't like the running back this week, X, Y, or Z. For some reason, they bite me in the ass. It has happened year over year. So I'm just going to be a little bit neutral with Jacobs and just put him there. Again, you know my opinion. I said it all week long. Malik Willis does not help Josh Jacobs in any form of nature. The only thing that helps Josh Jacobs is the fact that Gus Bradley is not a good defensive coordinator. He does not know how to stop a nosebleed. He really doesn't. There's a reason why Mixon went for 30 rushing attempts last week, 19 of which were 4 or more rushing yards in those 19 attempts for 4 or more. Okay, anyway, I'm going to start raging. It's embarrassing. Nonetheless, in this scenario, if you want to play Harris, I have no issue with it. Thank you. Enemies Within says half PPR. Pick 2, Ridley, Cooks, Zeke, DeMarcus Robinson. In a half PPR scoring format, I probably end up playing both of the Cowboys. I'll probably take Cooks and Zeke there. Thank you. Content by Kai says Charbonnet or David Montgomery. Already have Amon-Ra wide receiver. If it's let me just confirm this. If it's a half PPR, I'm going to probably play Montgomery. Yeah, if it's a half PPR, I'll play Montgomery. If it's a full PPR, I'll play Charbonnet. I don't know what your format is, Kai, but yeah, that's the way that I would approach it. Michael sends in a question. Michael Bear says, Montgomery or Charbonnet full PPR? Great question. I already have Gibbs. Got it. I'd still play Charbonnet there. Thank you. Considering you have Gibbs, I could justify playing Montgomery because, again, you want to be able to rebound all of the potential value out of that backfield. Just to give you context as to how close they are ranked in a full PPR, Montgomery and Charbonnet in a full PPR are literally back-to-back. Charbonnet 17, Montgomery 18. So if you feel like, and they're in different tiers, so that's why I suggested Charbonnet ahead of Montgomery, and I just did it without any hesitation. That's how confident I feel about it. But if you wanted to play Montgomery because you have Gibbs, I don't have an issue with it at all. Again, it pretty much is the safer play of containing all of the potential value of those two running backs in case a vulturing situation happens in which one of them steals a touchdown from the other or vice versa. So if you wanted to, again, you could go ahead and play them both. Otherwise, I do have Charbonnet ranked higher. Thank you. In a full PPR. Again, thank you. Let's see here. Monaco Hernandez says, in a full PPR, flex Neighbors, Cooper, or ETN. If I'm not mistaken, I'm probably going to have either ETN or Neighbors ranked the highest. Let me see where I have Neighbors in comparison. As it currently stands, I do in fact have Neighbors ranked the highest of the bunch. And that's the way that I would go ahead and direct my team. I would play Neighbors there, number 1, ETN 2, Cooper 3. Thank you, Monaco. Matt sends in a question. Says, bench 1, Singletary, Kirk, or Pollard? If I'm benching 1, it's Christian Kirk. I would play Singletary and I would play Pollard ahead of him. Thank you. Gio says, in a full PPR flex, Marvin Harrison Jr., Ford, or Brian Robinson Jr. Between the three of them, I'm playing Jerome Ford. I'd feel most comfortable playing Jerome Ford in this circumstance. Thank you. Let me see what kind of reports I have here via Twitter. Anything new? Nothing crazy. Good to go. UFO is DMing me again and says, when do your rankings drop? Not worried because my team is stacked. UFO, I already sent out the email again, brother. I don't know what you're talking about. UFO, go please check your spam folder, UFO. Check your spam folder. This email was sent out at 2 a.m. This is 2 weeks in a row, UFO. Come on, man. Get with the times. Check the spam folder. Please and thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. Moving on. We'll take forward there, Gio. Appreciate it. Montana Fisher says, in a full PPR, DeAndre Swift, Jacoby Myers, Andre Yoshivas, or Adam Thielen. Jeez Louise. I really don't like any of these options. If it's between Swift and the potential of Myers, let's see where I have them ranked in a full PPR accordingly. As it currently stands, I do in fact have Swift ahead of the rest. That's the direction I would go with playing DeAndre Swift. I don't love it, but it is the reality of the situation in comparison to the alternative options you have there, Montana. So DeAndre Swift is the play. Thank you. Okay, so where are we in terms of Cinco 2X sent in a super chat, but there wasn't anything attached to it again. Cinco, you keep killing me with that, brother. Cinco says, LOL, can we put the ranking screen like last year? Hate pausing? Nope, not doing it. Thank you. Is that the only question you had, Cinco? If you have any other things, let me know. Thank you. The volume of complaints from last year that, quote unquote, I can't see, as in the rankings because the text was too small, I will refuse for the end of my days to ever hear that. So yeah, no thank you. Appreciate it though. Listen, it's just a matter of I gotta save my energy and make sure I don't lose my mind from some of these questions. And I don't want to hear, oh, I can't see the rankings, you know, I can't do it. LGND1K says, Legend 1, I guess that's probably the name. Legend 1000 says standard, Kirk, DeMarcus Robinson, and Chuba Hubbard. In a standard scoring format, I probably end up, wow, that's actually tough. It's between DeMarcus Robinson and Chuba Hubbard. How do I want to do this? Between Chuba, let's see where I have them in a half PPR accordingly, and then I can kind of filter out some of the speculation and then the receiving upside. So in a half PPR, I have DeMarcus ahead of Chuba Hubbard. But in a standard where you're getting 0 points per reception, let's say, for example, DeMarcus is capable of somewhere between 4, 5, 6 receptions. That's 2.5, 3 points. Is that the biggest difference maker between the two in terms of current projection? I'd say yes, to where Chuba Hubbard is probably the play in a standard scoring format. But in a half PPR, I do have DeMarcus ahead of him, Legend 1000. Thank you. Let's see here. What did UFO on about? Let's see here. I'm sorry, bro, but then you, for the laugh, I'm so confused. As long as you got it, just confirm you. Hold up. Did you receive it? Question mark? I'm so confused, bro. All right. Let's see here. Moving on. We had a question that came in from, let's scroll down. Ro Staxon sends in a question. Thank you, Ro. Says in a full PPR, Jalen Hurts or Kyler Murray, I feel really comfortable with Jalen Hurts. Even if, in fact, we're in a scenario in which A.J. Brown doesn't play, I'd still play Jalen Hurts over Kyler Murray. As for your next question, 2 open at wide receiver and 1 open at flex. We have Marvin Harrison, Ayuk, Zach Charbonnet, Reed, and Xavier Worthy. Of the available options you have, Ro, I would play Marvin Harrison alongside of Xavier Worthy, and I would play Charbonnet within the flex. As for what you're already starting, Jones and Pacheco, yeah, you're good to go. But yeah, Marvin Harrison, Worthy, and Charbonnet would be my suggestion. Ro, thank you. Ira sends in a question. Says in a PPR flex, Najee Harris, Tyler Lockett, Zach Moss, pick one. I believe it's Zach Moss. Let me just confirm this in terms of my full PPR rankings, in terms of how I have them stacked up. Yeah, it's Zach Moss as of right now. Thank you for the question. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Andre Segura says, Michael Pittman Jr. or Robinson. Okay, so when you say Robinson, that's very broad. Is it Brian Robinson? Is it Wan'Dale Robinson? Because it could be either of the two, considering you're talking about Pittman or Robinson. So I don't know what that, if it is Wan'Dale Robinson, I don't even know what your scoring format is, Andre. So it's kind of, you put me in a pretty tough position here. So let's say it's Wan'Dale Robinson. I play Pittman there. And then as for your follow-up question, Dobbins or White, I'd rather play Rachaad White this week. Okay, cool. Good, done. All right, so moving on. Nick sends in a question. He says, in a full PPR, pick one, Ramondre, Najee, Brian Robinson Jr. Between the three, I'm playing Ramondre Stevenson. Thank you. Aaron Orozco sends in a question. Says, in a full PPR, 2 running backs, RB2/flex, Stevenson, Jacobs, Marvin Harrison. In a full PPR, I would play Ramondre Stevenson and Marvin Harrison Jr. this week. Thank you. Bards sends in a question. Full PPR, Ford, Montgomery, Sharbs, or Josh Jacobs. If I'm playing one of the potential options in a full PPR scoring format, it's between Sharbs and Ford. Let me see who I have ranked higher in a full PPR. Accordingly, I have Ford 1 spot ahead of Sharbs. That would be the play. Jerome Ford is my suggestion going into this week. Thank you, Bards. Jack, no, that's a different name. Okay. Jake Whitling says, full PPR, Montgomery or Aaron Jones? Let me see how I have them ranked accordingly. As it stands in a full PPR scoring format, it's relatively close, but I still do have David Montgomery ahead. Thank you for the question. Mr. Noodle says, I need one in a flex in a full PPR. Gabe Davis, Josh Palmer, Dallas Goedert, Javonte Williams, or Tyler Johnson. Thank you, the best man. Okay, so I would say that Dallas Goedert would be a better play than majority of these guys if, in fact, we knew for sure that A.J. Brown wasn't going to play. But again, considering we won't have that information until tomorrow around 4 p.m. PST, your best interest is most likely playing one of these available options. Of the available options you have here in a full PPR, I'd probably just roll with Tyler Johnson and hope for the best. Thank you. Jake Cup sends in a question. Says, in a half PPR, 2 flex spots, start Rachaad White, Ramondre Stevenson, Charbonnet, Flowers, or Worthy in the flex. Okay, so you have 2 flex spots available. Those are your potential options. I love them all, but at this current circumstance, I'm playing Ramondre alongside of Rachaad White. As for your follow-up question, it's not really a question, it's more of a statement. You have J.J. Collins, Breece Hall, Kamara, and Pacheco. Yeah, Rachaad White and Ramondre are the 2 best of the available. Jake Cup, thank you. We move on to a question from AJ, who says, meant try Taysom in one of the 5 where I have lead cuz Cook. Got it. Yeah, that's fine. I don't have an issue with that. Diversifying a little bit in that scenario is fine. I just thought that you meant that you were going to play Taysom Hill in all 5 of your leagues, which I was like, you must know some inside info in that scenario. But yeah, playing him one of 5 is not an issue at all. AJ, thank you. Okay, Jay Stroh says, PPR, Josh Jacobs or DJ Moore? Let me see where I have them ranked accordingly. So if I go to my full PPR rankings and I check DJ Moore, he is in fact ahead of Josh Jacobs. So I would play DJ Moore in this scenario. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, let's see here. Outside of Jay Stroh, we have Jack. Yeah, you see Jakes. There's Jacks and Jakes back to back. So I was getting confused earlier. But Jack Hennigan says, in a half PPR, I have AJ Brown in the flex. I picked up Mooney. Would you wait or play Najee Harris / Charbonnet in the flex today? If it was me, I'd probably play Charbonnet today. I'd love to play AJ Brown again. I just don't want to be in a situation where I was last week, where I told many people, "Hey, play McCaffrey. He's gonna play. Like it's it's without a doubt." And some people even asked me, like, "I don't even have Mason. Like, are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And then I probably fucked you over. So in these scenarios, like, I'm gonna be a little bit less bold in this scenario. Yeah, in this situation, I'm just gonna tell you, listen, let's be safe. If you've got an alternative option like Mooney, sure, that's fine. But you're probably better off just playing Charbonnet, getting the solidified points in this given week in a half PPR, because there's always a chance that, first and foremost, he may not play. And even if he does play, there's nothing that says he doesn't re-aggravate the injury or play even lesser than his normal self, because he is dealing with the injury. So in this circumstance, I'd probably just pivot to playing Charbonnet. Carlos sends in a question. Thank you, Carlos. Says, help. Full PPR, starting Deebo Samuel, Keenan Allen, David Montgomery, J.K. Dobbins, Sam Laporta, Brian Robinson. My bench consists of Ramondre, Brandon Cooks, Shaheed, and Deontay Johnson. Okay. The only thing that I would legitimately change is most likely swapping. In a full PPR, I probably, not even just probably, I'd play Ramondre Stevenson over J.K. Dobbins in a full PPR. Additionally, I think that's it. That's the only change I would make. Now, if you want to play J.K. Dobbins without a doubt this week, then you would do it over Monty. But I think Ramondre kind of has to play in this scenario, Carlos. Thank you. Chase McGraw says, start Pickens or wait for A.J. Brown and grab Dotson. If it's between the two of them, I'd probably go with the A.J. Brown route. Pickens I don't love too much because, again, the Patrick Surtain matchup within the given week. So considering that kind of hesitation that I already have, man, my eyes are killing me today. Oh, man. This is what happens when I'm running on 3 hours of sleep. My eyeballs are like, and the lights are blinding me. Okay, anyway, answering your question, Chase, if I was in your scenario, I would try to go for the A.J. Brown play. But that's only because of your alternative option being a lesser one in comparison to the other ones that were asked. Alex said, I missed it yesterday. You're the man. Okay, thank you, Alex. James Freeman says, Drake London, Najee Harris, David Montgomery, pick 2.5 PPR. In a half PPR, I'm playing both the running backs most likely. Let me see where I have Najee in comparison, just so I can reference. Oh, that's not it. I need to go to half PPR. Control F, Najee. Okay, Najee. Damn, he's really close to Drake London. I think I still, you know what? I'm going to make an audible here. I think I'd probably just play both the running backs in this scenario. Let's just play Najee and let's play Montgomery. James, thank you. JC says, PPR, McLaurin, Stevenson, or Mason. Mason, 1,000%. Thank you, JC. Appreciate it. Again, for those of you who have Jordan Mason today, this is a blanket statement. Blanket. Am I saying it wrong? Blanket. Blanket statement. If you have Jordan Mason, he is in your starting lineup today. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. There is no alternative. Unless you somehow have 3 of my top 5 running backs, which again, seems impossible that you could have Taylor, Mixon, and Taylor, Mixon, and Barkley on one team, which actually technically, if you started at the end of the first, you could technically have that. But if you're the one out of a million that has that, congratulations. Other than that, Mason starts in every scenario. But yeah, in your case, JC, I understand the question because of Ramondre, but yeah, Mason is the play. Justin Bailey sends in a question. Says, flex Javonte Williams, Chuba Hubbard, or Gus Edwards. Between the 3 of them, let's see. What is your scoring format? I see no one is talking about Chuba. Pick 3. Okay, so it depends, right? The reason no one's talking about Chuba is because of how terrible the Carolina Panthers looked in week 1. The way I have it currently ranked in a half PPR is Javonte number 1, Chuba Hubbard number 2, and Gus Edwards number 3. In a full PPR scoring format, I have it set as Javonte 1, Chuba Hubbard 2, and Gus Edwards 3 once again. So if you want to go ahead and roll out Chuba Hubbard, I don't have an issue with it. They're back-to-back and in the same tier as Javonte Williams, so theoretically they're very similar, if not identical, in terms of projected value from my metrics. So if you want to roll with them, you can. Fire them up. Sketches me out. Sketches me out. As for the follow-up question, pick 3. Rice, Nico Cup, Garrett Wilson. Under the assumption it's If it's a half PPR, I'm probably going with Rice, Nico, and Cup. If it's a full PPR, actually even in a full PPR, I think I do the same thing. Let me see here. Full PPR, wide receivers. Okay, the only difference I would make in a full PPR is playing Garrett over Nico. Otherwise, in a half, it's Nico, Rice, and Cup. Thank you. Appreciate the question. Moving on to Tamir K, who says Pollard or Jacobs in a standard. Standard 0 point per reception league, it's probably Jacobs there. Thank you. Hakeem sends in a question, says start 2. Olave, Adams, Flowers. Olave and Adams are the plays. Thank you. Joe sends in a question, says full PPR. Deontay Johnson, JSN, or Dortch. Let me see how I have them ranked accordingly. Full PPR. There's Deontay. So Deontay sits there. He is ahead of JSN and effectively ahead of Dortch. So Deontay Johnson is my highest ranked of the 3. Thank you for the question. Appreciate it, Joe. Moving on. Again, really quickly, before I continue to answer more of these questions. Where are they? Okay, so we're starting there. Good to go. Again, the rankings on screen are up to date, ready to go. For those of you guys who are members of Patreon, again, those rankings were posted earlier today. For those of you guys who have signed up using code Andrew and made a first-time deposit via Underdog Fantasy earlier today, or not even earlier today, apologies. If you made a first-time deposit between August 1st, 2024 till yesterday, the email's already been sent out to you. Check your spam folder. It will include week 2's rankings, half PPR, full PPR, all-encompassing rankings like I mentioned every week. If you guys want to take advantage of that for future weeks, again, check out Underdog Fantasy. There's a link down in the description. Use code Andrew, make a first-time deposit, minimum of $10. You'll get my rankings every single week for the remainder of the season, every Sunday morning. Thank you. Okay. Mr. Noodle follows up and says, it's a full PPR. Sorry. Okay. Mr. Noodle, in terms of your question, yeah, I think I'm still going to, yeah, it's a full PPR. It was already mentioned in the question. Flex, full PPR, Gabe Davis. Yeah, I mean, of the bunch, I think I'm still going to roll with the potential of Tyler Johnson in that scenario. Thank you. Tamir K has a follow-up question. Says in a half PPR, in another league, pick 2. Jacobs, Ford, Brian Robinson Jr., and Amari Cooper. I would probably play Ford and Brian Robinson Jr. there. Actually, no, it's not. Is it Brian Robinson in a half PPR? Let's see. Maybe it is Jacobs. Let's see accordingly. No, it is Brian Robinson. That's what I thought. Okay. So Brian Robinson and Ford would be the suggestion in that scenario. Thank you, Tamir. Appreciate it. All right. Crypt Keeper says, should I trade Mason plus a wide receiver 3 to McCaffrey owner for Laporta? What's a wide receiver 3? Like, are you trading BTJ and Mason for Sam Laporta? Typically, if I'm going to trade Mason, I want some sort of running back compensation in return. If you're not able to do so and you need to, like, obviously, like, you're struggling at tight end, maybe you're starting Freiermuth every week, I don't have an issue with the potential of this trade. Damon Anthony sends in a question, says standard, Debo or Dobbins in the flex. Standard scoring format, 0 points per reception. I have Debo so far ahead of Dobbins, I don't think I pivot. I think I probably just play Debo. Criminal Minds 06 says PPR, 1 tight end, 1 flex. Ingram, likely, DeMarcus, Wandell. Okay, of the available options, it's just a matter of where do I have likely in comparison to Wandell Robinson, because that's probably going to be the question on hand. So let's go to full PPR. Let's look up where we have likely. And let's see where I have him in comparison to Wandell Robinson. So of the available options, with touchdown upside implied, let's see here. Okay, so in your scenario here, Criminal Minds, I'm probably playing both of the tight ends this week. Ingram and likely. Thank you. Brian Colorado says PPR, 2 quarterback league. Pick 1, DK, Herbert, or Singletary. Yeah, if it's a 2 QB league, I am playing Justin Herbert. Under the assumption that that is what you're asking me. And Herbert is not Khalil Herbert. If it's Justin Herbert there, Brian Colorado, it is Herbert. Thank you. Michael sends in a question. Says, AJ Brown or Cooper this week, I can pick up Dotson. Jake Ferguson will not play. Yeah, we don't need that report, as if we didn't already know. Okay. AJ Brown or Amari Cooper. Is it safer just to roll? I would rather just play Amari Cooper this week. I think that's just me being safe. And I like Amari Cooper enough to where I'm willing to make that exchange. I'm willing to wait on the potential, or I'm not willing to wait. I'm willing to just take the points that I'm going to be given because I trust Amari Cooper enough in the given week, Michael. Thank you. Smooth Genius says, PPR, flex to Connor, Rice, Ford, and Dobbins. Of those available options, I'm playing Connor and Rice. Thank you. All right, let's hear. Bonk with 2 O's says, PPR start 2, Amari Cooper, Charbonnet, Dobbins. In a PPR, I'm playing Charbonnet, and I'm probably playing Dobbins. Let me see if Charbonnet is ahead of Amari Cooper. Yeah. Charbonnet and Amari Cooper are the 2 plays in a full PPR. For context, Dobbins and Amari Cooper are quite literally back-to-back in my full PPR structure. Thank you. So, but yeah, they're pretty much like you could play Amari Cooper and Dobbins at a coin toss in my based on my overall projections. But yeah, Charbonnet's the for sure play. But Amari Cooper is just 1 spot ahead. To the Max sends in a question, says Neighbors or Charbonnet this week? I'll play Neighbors. Thank you. Mark, Genovis, or yeah, maybe I botched it, but Mark, thank you for the super chat. Says, hey, with Kenneth Walker out, I have moved Jerome Ford out of the flex into the RB2. Who do I plug in the flex? Evan Ingram, Josh Palmer, Javonte Williams. Out of those 3 options, I would throw Evan Ingram into my flex. Thank you. iShine101 says, rest of season, Zach Moss, Zamir White, or Javonte Williams. Rest of season, Zach Moss, as of the current circumstance, that's the direction I lean in. 8-man flex league, I need 3rd RB out of these 3. Yeah, as of right now, if I was just to rank them accordingly, I'd probably go like Moss, Javonte, Zamir. Thank you. Devin sends in a question. Says, in a 12-team half PPR, Jaden Reed or Ladd McConkey. Okay, let me see where I have them ranked accordingly. In a half PPR, I have Ladd McConkey 1 spot ahead of Jaden Reed. Ladd McConkey sits at 37, Jaden Reed at 38, both in the same singular tier. So really could play one over the other if you felt comfortable, but as of right now, I do prefer Ladd McConkey. Thank you for your question, Devin. Nels Santiago. Nels, hope you're doing well. Says, hey, Andrew, in a PPR, need 2 between Metcalf, Najee Harris, Charbonnet, Dell, and McConkey. Okay, so Charbonnet's the play for sure, as in the plug-in for 1. Then it's a matter of, do we want to play 2 potential Seahawks? In a full PPR, what do I have DK Metcalf in case? Actually, let's go scroll here. DK Metcalf. Yeah, DK Metcalf and Tank Dell are back-to-back in my rankings in a full PPR this week. So really, if you're comfortable playing both of the Seahawks, roll it. If you're not, and you want to have a little bit more of a diversified play, you just take Charbonnet and Dell, and those are the 2 that I suggest. Thank you. Otherwise, DK and Charbonnet are the highest ranked. All right, Juan Munoz says, in a full PPR, Kirk or JK in the flex. I would play JK Dobbins there. Thank you. Jorge Perez sends in a super chat with nothing attached to it, as per the Jorge way. Thank you, Jorge, for making me having to go and find the question. He says, good morning, Andrew. In a full PPR, I need 3 wide receivers, starting Devontae and Dell already. Very well. I was in yesterday's stream. I picked up Wando Robinson and Brandon Cooks. Very well. Do I still start Wando Robinson over Brandon? Let me see where I have them in a full PPR accordingly. Wando Robinson. Okay, Wando Robinson, Brandon Cooks. No, I'd still play Brandon Cooks there. Let's roll with Brandon Cooks. Yeah. Let's see, what's the next report that we have here? That's not a report. Moving on. So yeah, in your scenario, Devontae Smith, Dell, Brandon Cooks. You're good to go there, Jorge. Thank you for the clarification and the follow-up on the question. Appreciate it. Okay, Connor sends in a question. PPR, Smith, Olave, Ayuk. Trade Olave for Godwin. I wouldn't yet. Listen, Godwin's got really good value thus far. Olave should have more value henceforth. He may not have the greatest week 1. Again, they were up 30-0 in a very quick manner. Doesn't really force you to have to throw the ball. I would stay patient with it. I would wait, and I would just trust the value of Olave going forward. Carlos E. Pena sends in a question. Carlos, I don't see anything attached. Let me see if I can find it. Carlos. Okay, let's see here. He says, half PPR, should I give Flowers to get Worthy? Okay, you know what? That's a really good question. Considering there is I don't mind it, honestly. The fact that they said that yesterday that there's a chance, or they're expecting that Marquise Hollywood Brown doesn't play for the remainder of the regular season, I don't mind it. I mean, I think in a half PPR, Flowers has lesser value because, again, he's competing with Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely and Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson for red zone touchdowns, which again, typically he doesn't find, winning those overall advantages. Worthy's a deep ball receiving threat and in an offense that obviously wants to air it out. And if he's going to be that guy without Marquise Brown, I'll take it. Give me Worthy rest of the season. Thank you for the question, Carlos. I appreciate it. Let's see here. We had a question that came in from Brian Wiz, who says, PPR, need two. Ford, White, Charbonnet. Ford and White would be my two suggestions in a full PPR. Thank you, Brian. Garrett Poe sends in a question, says, what's up, Andrew? Hope it's a good Sunday. Listen, I just woke up an hour ago, an hour 25. Actually, no, that's a lie. 2 hours and 25 minutes ago on 3 hours of sleep. So far, it's a good Sunday. But let me tell you how this Sunday gets better. If, in fact, we get high-scoring matchups, and I'm talking about extremely high-scoring matchups, back-and-forth shootout bangers, that would make Sunday incredible. I want one of the highest-scoring weeks in fantasy football history. That's what I want every single Sunday. I pray for it before I go to bed. Okay? That's what I want. Hopefully we can get it, and that'll make the Sunday even better. Now, if that doesn't happen, so be it. Just keep everyone healthy. That's all I ask for. I don't want injuries. Anyway, moving on. That was me praying to the fantasy gods to an extent, or begging for a little bit of help. PPR, I need two. Okay, so I need a flex in 2 leagues. Very well. Devontae Smith or Charbonnet. Between the two of them, I would take Devontae Smith this week. As for the other league, Charbonnet or Dobbins, I'll take Charbonnet. So Smith in one league, Charbonnet in the other. Thank you, Garrett Poe. Appreciate it. Kenneth Williams sends in a question. Thanks, Andrew. No problem, Kenneth. Hope you're doing well. Kenneth says, Ridley, Jameson Williams in a full PPR. I'll take Jameson Williams there very comfortably. I just don't like the idea of playing Ridley against the Jets secondary. With Will Levis, again, it's very sketchy. I'd rather just take the momentum of Jameson Williams and ride that out, Kenneth. Thank you, sir. Steve sends in a question, says, Jacobs, Diggs, DK, pick one in a half PPR scoring format. As it currently stands, it's either Diggs or Jacobs. Let me see where I have them ranked accordingly in a half PPR. Control F. Yo, can I get this a function? Okay. Diggs. Okay, so that's Dogs. That's not Diggs. Okay, so Stephon Diggs sits there. According to my current ranking, is he ahead? Where the heck is Josh Jacobs? Jacobs is below him. So I would go ahead and I would play Stephon Diggs in this scenario. Steve, I would play Stephon Diggs 1, Jacobs 2, DK 3 in a half PPR. Thank you. Frosty sends in a question. Frosty, hope you're doing well. Says, wait for AJ Brown in a PPR. Next up, I have Harris, Moss, or JSN. Would I play Najee Harris in the stead of AJ Brown? Safety says yes. If your alternative option to AJ Brown playing on Monday is like, I'm going to pivot and I'm going to play Jahan Dotson, or I'm going to pivot and play Mooney, I would just tell you to play, Najee Harris today. Thank you for the question. Appreciate it. Again, I'm very much so implying and trying to execute the safe rather than sorry approach as of this scenario. Carlos sends in a question. Okay, so we already went and took care of that one. Thank you again for following up on that, Carlos. I appreciate it. Where it was able to get to the question. Moving on. We had a couple more that were sent in. We move on to the question that comes in from Shackle Free, who doesn't have anything attached to it, but maybe we can find it in the live chat. Shackle Free says, hey, Andrew, what's your thoughts on me picking up Lazard or Brandon Cooks off of waivers to drop Freiermuth or Odunze? As under the assumption so this is the way I see it. If Odunze can stay healthy this year, he could potentially have value. But, again, he's already not healthy. That's a tough situation. Freiermuth is typically someone that I want to have on roster in case he does end up being of value to where you can utilize him as a trade bait piece in future weeks. So, in this scenario, if in fact you are in need of a wide receiver 4 to any extent, I do not mind the Brandon Cooks pickup for the short-term potential upside in the absence of Jake Ferguson over Odunze in order to find immediate value and maybe even flip Brandon Cooks in a trade sell high, buy low scenario. But Freiermuth is kind of a late-term investment. So is Odunze. If you wanted to drop one or the other, I wouldn't mind it in the case of picking up Brandon Cooks, who is the better value play going forward and at least kind of helps you if, in fact, you're dealing with injuries accordingly. But yeah, if it's me and you have wide receiver depth and Odunze is just like wide receiver 5 or 6, you could always throw him. Well, he's not going to be IR today, or at least given the out designation. I wouldn't mind dropping him just to try to take Brandon Cooks, hope he has another big weekend, and try to sell him into a potential trade in the future weeks. Thank you, Shackle. Bryant Keebler sends in a question. Says, in a 12-man half PPR league, Brian Thomas Jr. or Zeke? Let me see how I have it ranked. Okay, half PPR, we have Brian Thomas. Okay, Brian Thomas and Zeke. As it currently stands, where the heck is Zeke on this list? Ezekiel? I have Ezekiel Elliott ahead of Brian Thomas Jr. today in a half PPR scoring format. In a full PPR would be the other way around. But in a half PPR, I'd play Zeke. Should I always lean running back in a half PPR I think it doesn't. Okay, so in your specific question, Brian Keebler, it's not always that you lean towards the running back position in a half PPR when you have a running back versus a wide receiver in terms of value. I'm not always going to default to running back. I'm also going to default to potential matchups, and I just don't like Cleveland's potential secondary matchup for Brian Thomas Jr. in comparison to the potential of Zeke. There's 6-point favorites at home, season home opener, in a situation in which they could have multiple red zone opportunities and goal line opportunities where he could score 12 points just because he is the lead back, and he makes his week off of 2 singular plays throughout the entire game. So I think the points for Zeke are they're kind of given to him rather than Brian Thomas really would have to go out there and earn it. And in a half PPR, it's less advantageous to kind of play him out there. So I just roll with Zeke. But no, you don't always have to lean towards running back. There are other variables for sure. Kerry Murrell sends in a question. Says Dobbins or Ramondre Stevenson? Good to see you again. Thank you. Hope you're doing well, Kelly. As of this current moment in time, I'm going to go with Ramondre there, regardless of scoring format, half or full PPR. If you play in a standard scoring lead, I could then justify playing Dobbins, but even then, I think I may lean towards the direction of Ramondre. Thank you. Mr. Poe Tate says, hey, boss, should I start Deontay Johnson or Josh Palmer if he plays in a half PPR? If I'm playing one of the two, I'd probably play Deontay Johnson, even if Josh Palmer played. Royce says in a question, also, additionally, wait, let me go back to Mr. Poe Tate's question. Let's try to find somebody else, but if you can't, then let's roll with it. I mean, I may be even more interested to playing Josh Reynolds today than Deontay Johnson. There's no way. Okay, there's probably a way, maybe. Just throwing it out there. If somehow, some way, Jacoby Myers, Wan'Dale Robinson, Lazard are still available, I'd probably take them over Deontay Johnson. But, again, as of the two options you mentioned, I'll just take Deontay as it currently stands. Thank you. After Mr. Potate's question, we have Royce, who says, London, Marvin Harrison, Ramondre, who do I bench in week 2? Marvin Harrison gets benched. London and Ramondre play. Thank you. Ahmed E says, PPR, start one. Start one. We have Laporta, Dobbs, McLaughlin, Addison, or pick up it's not even a question. Laporta gets the start there, Ahmed. Thank you. Mason sends in a question, says, Pittman or Charbonnet, Worthy at the flex? I mean, look, between the two, let's see here. What do we have? Full PPR. Sharbs is going to sit there, but where's Pittman in comparison to Worthy? Okay. So I've got Pittman pretty far ahead of Worthy. If you want to play Worthy over Pittman, I don't have an issue with it, but Charbonnet gets the start over Pittman, first and foremost. So Charbonnet would get the flex over Pittman, or the initial, wait, is it all three of them, Mason? Pittman, Charbonnet, or Worthy? Yeah, if it's, okay, so I have to pick one of the three, I'm going to play Charbonnet. That's the way that I would approach it. You could go otherwise. I think these alternative options are great, especially considering the full PPR format, but I prefer Charbonnet in the circumstance. Thank you. Lethal Jake sends in a question, says Dotson or McLeod if AJ can't go. If AJ Brown can't go, guys, I would rather play Jahan Dotson. Ray McLeod had himself pretty good stats last week, but there were a lot of scenarios in which, it was pretty crazy. There was a 30-yard reception for Ray McLeod last week, or it seemed like it was a 30-yard reception when I was watching the game back on the NFL Plus app, where Kirk Cousins got hit through an absolute duck. Could have easily been picked off, but Ray McLeod is like just sitting under it and just happens to catch it like a punt, and then he moves for another additional 10 yards and gets like a 30-yard reception. So really, Ray's stats from last week may be a little bit inflated in this scenario. in the absence of A.J. Brown, that's 10 potential targets available for wide receivers. Jahan Dotson plays on the outside. I'd probably lean in his direction. Not probably. I would. I'd rather play Jahan Dotson in that kind of a scenario. And then as for Ahmed, he had a prior question that I ended up missing. So besides the Laporta suggestion, Ahmed, you also had a question of, do I pick up Dotson or Wan'Dale Robinson? If you're not dealing with the A.J. Brown scenario, you're just picking up Wan'Dale Robinson there. Thank you, Ahmed. We took care of Mason again. We took care of Lethal Jake. We'll take Dotson there, John Dotson. Bug-Eye Buck Nasty says, scared to risk A.J. Brown, start forward in the flex. Yeah, I'd do that. That's not a problem for me. I would probably suggest that you should do that as well. Carlos sends in a question, says, it's Bijan Robinson. Oh, very well. Got it. Yeah, there's a lot of Robinsons in the league. If you don't specify which one it is, I'm just going to have to assume. Running back dilemma, who would you start / sit based on their opponent's team? Bijan Robinson, Montgomery, Ramondre, J.K. Dobbins. Yeah, look, out of the potential 4 options, the way I have it currently ranked is Bijan 1, Ramondre 2, Montgomery 3, and J.K. Dobbins 4 in that exact order. That's the way that I would approach it. So Bijan, Ramondre, Montgomery, and J.K. Thank you. Mr. Noodle says, would you trade Christian McCaffrey for Devontae Adams and Kelsey? No Mason. You're trading away McCaffrey for Adams and Kelsey. Look, I want running back depth in return. That's the issue. Like, in a bubble, I'd say no. Like, I'd rather just hold on to McCaffrey, and if I lose the season, I lose. Like, unless I'm getting running back value in return, losing McCaffrey really just hurts. Like, I don't know what the context of the rest of your team is, but I don't know if I'm even making that deal. Berg sends in a question, says, in the flex, full PPR, Ayuk or Brian Robinson? Let me see where I have it ranked. Brian Robinson Jr. Okay. As it currently stands, I have Brian Robinson Jr. ahead of Ayuk in a full PPR. Thank you for the question. Appreciate it, Berg. Dom Rocks. Let's see here, Dom. Where are you at? Dom Rocks. Okay, Dom says start 1 in the flex. Okay, start sit. Montgomery, Brian Robinson Jr., Zach Moss, and Ayuk. Okay, so of the available options, the way that I would have it kind of presented out is most likely Montgomery, Brian Robinson would be the number 1 and 2. Ayuk and Zach Moss, depending on what the scoring format is, would go one way or the other. So Ayuk in a full PPR, but Zach Moss in a half. But yeah, Montgomery and Brian Robinson are the 1-2 combo there in that order. Thank you. All right, Hugh sends in a question. Says, hey, Andrew, I need to pick 2 in a full PPR between Brian Robinson Jr., Ramondre, and Etienne. Between the available options you have, I'm playing Ramondre and Etienne. Thank you, Huge. D-Nell says, or Danell, full PPR, Derrick Henry or Jaden Reed. Yeah, 1,000%, no questions asked. It's Derrick Henry. If Jordan Love was active and healthy, we'd have a conversation. But until then, it is Derrick Henry at the flex. As for your follow-up statement, you have Mason. You already had HN running. Okay, very well. London, Harrison, and Pickens starting. Yeah, you're good to go. Just play Derrick Henry there. Danell, thank you. Doc92 says, hey, Andrew, let's see here. Hey, bro, Kamara or Charbonnet in the flex half PPR? I'd play Kamara there. Thank you. Joey Green says, hey, Andrew, flex Terry McLaurin or Singletary in a half PPR? Let me see where I have them ranked accordingly. Singletary is there. Where is Terry McLaurin in comparison? Wait, that's a full PPR. What is your question again what's the format? Half PPR. Got it. So let's go ahead and change the ranking. Control F. So as it currently stands in a half PPR, I have Terry McLaurin 2 spots ahead of Devin Singletary. 59 compared to 61, both in my same exact tier of play. So they could be interpositionally like kind of changed if you want. But I do have Terry McLaurin just slightly ahead of him, 2 spots in a half PPR. Thank you for the question, Joey Green. James sends in a question. James Malfatti says, question, half PPR. I need a flex. Choices are DeAndre Swift, J.K. Dobbins, and Jerome Ford. Okay. Of the 3 available options, if I'm not mistaken, have Jerome Ford ranked the highest. Let me check here. J.K. Dobbins, in fact, is the highest ranked in a half PPR. So J.K. Dobbins would take the cake on this one, and that would be it. So J.K. Dobbins 1, Ford 2, DeAndre Swift 3. Thank you, James. Appreciate it. Michael Holt says, I need to pick 3 out of 5. Gibbs, Jacobs, Ford, Montgomery, Singletary. Keep growing the channel. I'm trying. Listen, I'm trying. I think today is the 11th or 12th day in a row of live streaming. Trying to keep it going. Let's see here. What exactly? Ooh, okay. We got some interesting news here. Inactives today. Jordan Love, of course, but Marshawn Lattimore inactive. That's huge. That definitely, for those of you who have CeeDee Lamb and or the potential of Brandon Cooks, that is very much so helpful. Very much so. Okay. Moving on. We have a question that comes in from Michael Holt, who says, okay, need to pick 3 out of 5. Gibbs, Jacobs, Ford, Montgomery, and Singletary. Keep going. Okay, so of the available options you have, Gibbs, Ford, Montgomery. Thank you, Michael. Zookeeper says, good morning, Andrew. Brandon Cooks or Alan Lazard? I'll play Brandon Cooks there. Thank you. Brian Wise says, need 2 running backs in a flex. Full PPR. Charbonnet, Ford, Brian Robinson Jr., London Metcalf. Okay, so this is the way I would run it. The 2 running backs you're starting are Charbonnet and Ford. Brian, easy, set to go. As for your flex, I think it's probably London or Brian Robinson. Let me see who I have ranked higher in a full PPR. London is ahead of Brian Robinson. So in your scenario, it would be, again, Montgomery. No, sorry, you don't have Montgomery. Charbonnet, Ford, and London. Thank you, Brian. All right, let's see here. C. Nathan says, half PPR flex, London or Ford? Let me see where I have them. London or Ford? I think it's going to be Ford if I had to guess. Yep, it's Ford. Thank you. Thank you, C. Nathan. JP Giles says, standard PPR format. Should I start Pierce or Flowers? I would much rather play Zay Flowers. Really not close in my mind. Yeah, I'd rather play Flowers. Pierce, again, is a deep ball magician, but is going to really have to rely upon a huge reception on the given week to make his overall week kind of stand out for fantasy purposes. Travis Knott says, in a full PPR, start Mason or Connor. Again, unless you have one of the top 5 running backs, it's Mason 100% of the time. I will play Jordan Mason this week. Thank you for the question, Travis. That's the direction I'm going in. Dilo says, I flipped Lamb for Garrett Wilson and Mason day before the IR news. Thoughts? Do you have Christian McCaffrey? Because if you don't have Christian McCaffrey, I don't know why getting Mason is technically good in this scenario. I don't know. I need more context, Dilo. Do me a favor and shoot me a DM on Twitter so I can get a little bit more context there. Thank you. Old J Running sends in a question. Old J, hope you're doing well. Says, Andrew, considering you're fire or you're fired, because there's a huge difference there. Considering AJ Brown questionable, pick 5: Aaron Jones, Jerome Ford, AJ Brown, Chris Olave, Mike Evans, Zach Charbonnet. Yeah, look, I think all of your alternative options are good enough to replace AJ Brown and not have to worry about it. So yeah, in this scenario, OJ Running, I'm going to suggest that you sit AJ Brown, and instead of playing him, you would play in his replacement Olave, Evans, Ford, Charbonnet. And if you can, if you're picking 5, literally, you play Aaron Jones ahead of him as well. Thank you. Orlando sends in a question. Says, AJ Brown or Christian Kirk because of injury? Ugh, God, Christian Kirk I don't love. Shoot. Do I play Christian Kirk? Is it a full PPR? It is a full PPR. What do we want to do? What do we want to do? Are we going to be at the mercy of the Christian Kirk legacy game if we don't start him? That's what I'm thinking, Orlando. That's my initial thought. Like, if I tell you not to play Christian Kirk and to take the risk, is Christian Kirk going to go for 25 points? My stomach. I think we just play it safe. I think you'll just roll with Christian Kirk there. Unless you have, like, somebody else was mentioning, like, oh, I have Drake London as a pivoting op. Unless you have that, I think you just take the safety of playing Christian Kirk because there's a good chance that AJ Brown does not play tomorrow. Thank you. Royce sends in a question. Royce says, in a PPR, bench 1 for week 2. Marvin Harrison, London, and Ramondre. I think I answered this earlier, Royce. I think you sent it in again. Either way, if I'm benching one of the 3, I'm going to bench Marvin Harrison. I'm playing London and Stevenson ahead of him. We move on to a question that comes in from Lizzie? Lizzie? You know what? I'm actually curious. Let me see if I can get the... All right. Well, that didn't work. Anyway, Liz. We're just going to call you Lizzie for now. Okay. Says, hey, Andrew, standard league, Flex Harrison Jr. or Jerome Ford. In a standard scoring league where you have 0 points per reception, it's Jerome Ford. Thank you. Blake Rye sends in a question. Says, Nico Collins or Garrett Wilson half PPR? Nico Collins. Thank you. Rockout says, Jacobs over Worthy in a full PPR? I don't think I have him over Worthy, but if I do, I'll tell you right now, I'm changing that. Worthy. Let's see here. I do not have Jacobs over Worthy. I have Worthy ahead of Jacobs in a full PPR. We will play it as such. Thank you. We will play Worthy. Cameron Kaplan says, what are you thinking? What's your thinking starting? Okay. I'm going to correct the sentence for you. I can't read it verbatim. What's your thoughts starting Houston over Seattle's defense? I don't have an issue with it. I think, again, Caleb Williams didn't look good in week 1. And also his receivers are injured. And also his, if he doesn't improve at a drastic rate, now also has to play in the Loud House in Houston on Sunday Night Football. There's a lot of potential pressure there that leans me in the direction of, maybe it is the Houston Texans play against that offense that quite honestly couldn't do anything last week on the ground through the air. And if they're once again going to be terrible, Houston's defense would make them play at home and really, cause a lot of potential mistakes. That's why I've kind of pivoted them above. Seattle, I think it's going to be a closer matchup than people think. Just because for some reason teams are playing down to the Patriots, or perhaps the Patriots are playing up. I guess it depends on what your perspective is on the matter. All right, let's see here. We move on to a question from YKMatt27, who says, Superflex full PPR, Swift, BT, or Aaron Rodgers? I'm going to play Aaron Rodgers there. Thank you. We move on to Colin Smith. Thank you, Colin. It says, full PPR, start 2, Sharbs, Marvin Harrison, Jacobs. Sharbs and Marvin Harrison are my suggestions in a full PPR. Thank you. Apple Pie says, Brian Robinson Jr. or Neighbors half PPR? Really good question. I think I know what the answer is, but what do I have it put as? I have Neighbors ahead of him, not by a lot, but enough to where it's comfortable. Yes, we'll take Neighbors there. Yeah, I have a lot of hope that Neighbors is going to pop off today because of the Washington matchup, and then henceforth you probably will have a hard time trading for Neighbors. But if you have Neighbors, you may be able to trade them far easier going forward, based on today's production. Dylan sends in a question, says PPR 12 team traded Tyreek Hill for Kyron Williams and Amari Cooper. What do you think? Okay, so earlier today, we did get information regarding Tua Tagovailoa. Based on the report that I read earlier today, it was something of the extent where it mentioned that Tua, what is the actual quote? Can I actually find the quote? I don't think I can. It was something of the scenario in which it said, like, Tua has decided that he's not going to retire, but there's no timeline on his return. So considering that scenario, let's wait and see how it all pans out. As for the initial trade value of getting Kyron and Amari, you're basically trading a first-round pick for a second and like a fifth, which for value purposes isn't great. But if in fact Tua is going to miss an extended time, I think it could end up panning out better for you. Because if Tua misses time, Njoku misses time, that just makes Kyron a better potential play, and then additionally Amari a potential better play, which could end up being the better of the two decisions long term, if it just helps you capture victories now, and going into the future, you have the value, you have the victories, you don't have to worry about the playoffs, and you don't have to worry about Tua and what his timeline looks like. So ultimately, I'm okay with the trade, but time will tell. Jake sends in a question, says, in a full PPR flex, Pollard, Reed, Brandon Cooks, or Lazard? Of the availables that you have, I feel most comfortable probably rolling with Pollard or Brandon Cooks. Let me see where I have them in a full PPR accordingly. Full PPR Pollard is there. Brandon Cooks is close, but not ahead of him. I'll take Pollard in that scenario. Thank you for the question. We move on to a question that comes from Ivan Garcia. Thank you very much, Ivan. Ivan says, in the scenario we have is a full PPR Montgomery or Charbonnet. I have Charbonnet ahead of Montgomery today. I'm down faced against James Cook and had Tyreek Hill and Kincaid. Yeah, we'll still play Charbonnet there. Thank you. Appreciate it. Alex Apking. Very familiar name. Alex, hope you're doing well. Says in a full PPR, I need an RB 1 and 2 and a flex out of Henry, Jacobs, Mason, Kamara. Very easy. Henry, Mason, Kamara. Those are the three we're starting today. Thank you, Alex. Moving on to the follow-up question. Also, Likely or Ingram at tight end. I don't mind the idea of rolling Likely, but I prefer Ingram as of this week. Longtime fan of the show, I know. Trust me. You've been around for quite a while, Alex. Thank you again for the support. Charles T says, in a half PPR with kicking and punt return points, the answer is Shaheed. It doesn't matter. The answer is always going to be Shaheed, without a doubt. In a league, guys, where you play with kick and punt return points, Rashid Shaheed is a top 10 wide receiver every single week. You don't got to ask me, Charles. You know it. You play in that format. I personally don't play in any leagues. I've never played in a league where there have been kick or punt return yardage. So the unfortunate thing is there is a lot of touchbacks. Brandon Aubrey's a really good kicker, and there's a chance that, you know, the kickoff return yardage may not be great today, but you're going to have to hope for the punt return potential in that circumstance. Cowboys typically have pretty good special teams, but yeah, you're just going to default to playing Shaheed again. Thank you. Jaden AB sends in a question. Says, Ramondre or Devontae Smith in a flex full PPR? In a full PPR format, if it was my team, I'm playing Devontae Smith. I think it's just the potential of not just only his production by itself. If A.J. Brown does miss, Devontae Smith should go for a nuclear game tomorrow. Okay, Jan Palomo says, DJ Moore or Charbonnet? I would play Charbonnet in that scenario, Jan. Thank you. Anti-Up says, full PPR, Olave, Amari Cooper, Jameson Williams. Between the three, I have Olave ranked the highest. Thank you, Anti-Up. Mr. Noodle says, LOL, I said the same thing. Go down with the ship. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you got to. Sometimes you got to. Brett Wood sends in a question and says, full PPR, A.J. Brown or Dell, will Brown play? Listen, okay, so typically, hamstring injuries are not to be fucked with. Okay, there's a reason why T. Higgins has been out for the last 2 weeks and probably will miss another 2 weeks if I had to guess. Hamstring injuries are really not to be messed around with. Additionally, when we're talking about running backs, wide receivers, tight ends that are running full sprints down the field the whole game, that is an injury that we're going to be very cautious with, which I would assume the Philadelphia Eagles and their coaching staff, they're also going to be cautious with. It's a Monday night game, and quite frankly, there can be an argument made that do they need A.J. Brown to beat the Atlanta Falcons, especially the Falcons that we saw in week 1? I don't think they need him. Hopefully, they're smart enough to keep him out because I do not want A.J. Brown getting injured this week in a Monday night game and then going to the IR. That's the last thing that I want for fantasy purposes. I'm going to hope that they're going to play it smart. If I was in your position, I'd play Dell, play it safe, don't take any risk because you have an alternative option that I think is, it's not comparable, but it is safe enough to where I feel comfortable rolling with that rather than having to play Jahan Dotson on Monday night in the terrible instance in which A.J. Brown is not capable of playing tomorrow. Thank you, Brett, for your question. 5 sends in a question. Olave, Godwin, DJ Moore start 2. I'm playing Godwin, number 1. Olave, number 2. DJ Moore sits on the bench. Thank you. Okay, I think I've almost relatively caught up here. We move on from 5's question, and we find a question coming in from Steven Hensley. Steven, thank you. Jerome Ford or Najee PPR? Jerome Ford, thank you. Robert Doolittle sends in a question. Robert, if your last name is actually Doolittle, that is incredible. That is cinematic. Anyway, Robert, your question is in a half PPR, DJ Moore, Charbonnet, Ramondre. Of the 3, I'd rather play Ramondre over the bunch. Charbonnet would be slightly right behind him as number 2, and then DJ Moore would be number 3. But Ramondre gets the start there. AMZG Eric says, trade Rashee Rice and Josh Jacobs for Tank Dell and Kyron Williams? No. I'd rather have Rashee Rice and I'd rather have Josh Jacobs rest of season. I would suggest you keep what you have. Again, Rashee Rice's value only goes up in the absence and the potential that Marquise Hollywood Brown does not play for the remainder of the regular season. Josh Jacobs, again, yes, he's going to have a little bit of a difficult matchup here and there for the next couple weeks because of the absence of Jordan Love. But once he returns, it's fine. I'd rather have Rashee Rice and Jacobs, regardless of scoring format. Thank you. Bald God sends in a question. Says, full PPR flex, Aaron Jones or Zay Flowers? Let me have a look real quick. Zay Flowers. Okay, so Zay Flowers sits there. Aaron Jones, where art thou? Where's Aaron Jones on my list in a full PPR? Aaron? Hello? There it is. I have Zay Flowers ahead of Aaron Jones very slightly, but Zay Flowers does in fact lip over the edge. So that's the direction I would go in. Zay Flowers. Thank you. Fernando Perez sends in a question. Thank you, Fernando. Says in a full PPR, Christian Kirk or Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks is my suggestion there. To sit A.J. Brown. Oh, yeah, let's do it. That's fine. Fuck it. Again, I don't want to get burnt tomorrow, guys. I don't want to have to play Jahan Dotson. And I don't feel great about the A.J. Brown scenario. So in this situation, that's fine. We could play Brandon Cooks. Etienne or Rachaad White in the flex. Thanks. Etienne or Rachaad White. If it's a full PPR, I'd rather play Rachaad White. The PPR receiving upside is just that much more valuable in that scenario. Thank you. Jimmy's in the clouds says, full PPR flex. Malik Neighbors, Charbonnet, Rachaad White. Whew. Okay. Really quickly. Let's figure this out. In terms of those three in a full PPR, I think it might be Rachaad White, but I have to confirm. Yes, it is Rachaad White. So in a full PPR, of the three that you have available there, Jimmy, it would be Rachaad White number 1, Malik Neighbors 2, and then Charbonnet 3. Now, as for your question, also, why is everyone so high on Neighbors with Jones? It's not a matter of being high on Neighbors with Jones. This week, we are high on Neighbors because they play against Washington. Washington's secondary is god-awful. I'm sorry, they are professional football players. They get paid to do their job. That is fine. But they are still not good enough. They are put in terrible scenarios and situations where they get picked on and punished. So, either way, we try to take advantage of it. But in this scenario, Rachaad White number 1, Malik Neighbors number 2, Charbonnet 3. Thank you, Jimmy. Sander Clemson sends in a question. Says, I have Burrow. Having a hard time trusting him. Should I drop Dowdle or McLaughlin to get another quarterback? Or should I just go with Burrow? I think it depends on what the alternative options are. Like if you tell me, hey, Andrew, I can drop Dowdle right now and go pick up Baker Mayfield and start him, I'd say let's do it. Unless you have something of that nature, I don't know if I'm dropping or swapping out of the scenario of playing him this week. Thank you. Michael Zavala sends in a question, says, A.J. Brown replacement, Zay Flowers or Drake London? I would wait, and then I would do the Drake London swap because I have Drake London ahead of Zay Flowers already. So go to Monday night. If A.J. Brown plays, you play him. If he doesn't, play Drake London. Thank you. Kelly sends in a question, says, Jameson Williams or Zach Moss in a half PPR? Really good question. Let's see where we have it accordingly. Control F, Zach Moss. So as it currently stands, with Zach Moss sitting there, he is ahead of Jameson Williams. That's the way that I would approach it as it currently stands. The only reason Jameson Williams is kind of taking a little bit of a tumble down my rankings is because of that ankle injury. I know that he's going to play, but I also expect Amon-Ra and Laporta's overall usage in terms of target utilization to go up effectively, and that, of course, is going to potentially affect Jameson Williams. And then, of course, Zach Moss played the vast majority of third downs last week, so not only is he the preferred kind of pass blocking back, but he also has the opportunity of a lot of potential checkdowns going into this game, which should be a negative game script for majority of the contest. Thank you for the question again, Kelly. M. Lizzie. Leezy. It's Leezy. 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 Thank you. Full PPR. Had a brain fart. Okay. Full PPR. Let me go ahead and scroll down. Let me find the question. Leezy says Harrison or Ford. Yeah, even in a full PPR format, I have Jerome Ford ahead. Thank you for the clarification. And now that I know how to pronounce your name, I won't botch it going forward. Thank you. All right. Jose Rodriguez says, Fields, Stevenson, Montgomery, St. Brown, Waddle, Laporta, Rice. My bench consists of Dak, which I would swap. I'd play Dak over Fields. Continuing on. Higgins, okay, he's out. Shakir, already played. Wanda Robinson, not interested. Mostert, not interested. Christian McCaffrey's in the hour. Any trade suggestions? Yeah, listen, in your scenario, I would go and I would try to trade for Jordan Mason if you can. You have an abundance of potential depth in this scenario to where maybe you can, legitimately go give Montgomery and somebody else and go get Mason. I think that's the best way to go about it. Otherwise, you have to trade McCaffrey. Otherwise, you could very easily tank your season in the absence of Mason. Thank you, Jose. Brian M. sends in a question. Says, PPR, pick 4. Diggs, Pittman, Ayuk, A.J. Brown, London. Very well. So, in this created scenario, I think your best plan of action is to play Diggs, Pittman, and Ayuk today. And then pivot from A.J. Brown to London, London to A.J. Brown tomorrow. I think you've kind of got it built out for Monday. That's kind of the play. You have to play Ayuk, which I don't love. But in this scenario, you have the pivoting option. If A.J. Brown goes, you play him and you bench London accordingly. Otherwise, vice versa. Thank you. Champ is Beast says, Need an RB2 in a flex. We have Dobbins, AJ Brown, Brian Robinson, Brandon Cooks, and London PPR. In a full PPR, I play redact that statement. In a full PPR, I'm playing Drake London and J.K. Dobbins there probably. Yeah, I would. Let's roll that. We good with there. Michael Holt says in a half PPR 10-team league, I need 3 out of potential 5. We have, okay, so of your potential 5, the 3 that I'm suggesting this week, Michael Holt, or Olave, Worthy, and Metcalf. Thank you. Mike Chills says, start 1 in a PPR, Tank Dell or London. I currently have London ahead of Tank Dell. Listen, trust me, I like Tank Dell a lot this week, but I'm still going to default to London in this scenario. Austin sends in a question. Says, Amari Cooper, Brian Thomas Jr., or Christian Kirk in a full PPR. Much love as well. Thank you for the support, Austin. I'm gonna stay consistent here. Again, we're going Amari Cooper. Great matchup. Secondary is injured. I will bench both of the Jacksonville Jaguars scenario, wide receivers in this scenario. New report here: Evan Ingram inactive for week 2 after suffering hamstring injury pregame. Okay, hold up. Rewind everything. Sound the alarms. Woo! Okay, hold up. Everybody stay calm. All right, hold up. No Evan Ingram. So, we need to do a couple things. First and foremost, I need to change my rankings on screen. Let's go ahead and do that. Let me open up Photoshop. Wow. Wasn't expecting that. Christian Kirk's value just jumped. For those of you who asked Christian Kirk questions in the past, AJ Brown has just been ruled out for week 2. Wait. Is that a botch? Ruled for week 2. What, is it ruled out or ruled? Hold up. What in the fuck is going on here? AJ Brown has been downgraded to out. Okay, so beautiful. Oh my God, this is the best case scenario. Okay, everybody, let's celebrate that we actually got information on an effing Sunday. Beautiful. As of Ian Rappaport 28 seconds ago, AJ Brown is out for week 1. So for those of you who have AJ Brown, bench his ass. Get him on the bench. Move it. If you can, hear me out. Take him, move him to your IR spot if it's open. Put him in the IR. Go pick up somebody else off of the waivers that potentially could end up having a solid week and maybe is going to be a waiver wire pickup. Just take a shot in the dark. I don't have any names out there. I don't know what's available. Just take a shot in the dark. As for Evan Ingram being inactive, very much so a surprise. I need to update rankings on screen. Let me go ahead and let me do that. I got to fire up Photoshop and do it midstream, but it's worth it because we got to get AJ Brown off there, and I also have to move up Christian Kirk effectively. I got to move up Devontae Smith effectively. I got to take care of all that. Wow. I'm so happy that we're getting that, but that is horrible. Why is Evan Ingram getting injured? Pre-game. I mean, jeez Louise. Okay. So, what do we need to do? We need to go to wide receiver. So, I'm going to upgrade update the ranking on screen. So, let's go ahead. Let's go here. Wow. What a turn of events. So, in terms of my top 36 wide receivers, let's move these down here. Let's move AJ Brown, delete his ass out of there. Then we take Devontae Smith. He's going to jump a pretty sizable margin. I'm going to say go there with Devontae Smith. Maybe, yeah, I think that's comfortable. I'm not going to get a little bit too over the top with it. Then Matt Ladd McConkey jumps in the top 36, and then we can just rank it as such. Okay, so wide receiver, again, for those of you guys who are joining us this morning, yes, we're getting the information as it kind of flows in. Evan Ingram's out. AJ Brown is out. And we are updating rankings right now so that the rankings that filter on screen can continue to be up to date. So I'm going to go ahead. Let's go desktop, change JPEG right here. This is the wide receiver Sunday. Save. Yes. Okay. So once the rankings filter on screen, the wide receiver one should be up to date. It will no longer include, oh, shoot, I forgot to update Christian Kirk and Brian Thomas Jr. Okay. So Christian Kirk is going to be the main benefactor. Brian Thomas, I'm going to leave as is. So this is the way I'm going to function it. I'm going to do it this way. Okay, there we go. Now I need to update it one more time, and then we'll be good. Okay, cool. So Christian Kirk is the main benefactor because, again, he plays in the slot position. And like I mentioned earlier, it's feast or famine between him and Evan Ingram. And in the absence of Evan Ingram, this is... Maybe I'm ranking Christian Kirk too low. Yeah, you know what I am? I think I got to go even further beyond that. I'm going to send it. I think it's here. I think this is the play. Yeah, that's it. That looks about right. Off the cuff, ranking change. We're here. All right, let's go ahead, file, save as. Again, I appreciate you guys' patience. Just want to update the rankings so that we're good to go. Let's go to week 2 Sunday rankings. Boom, save, done. Okay, so that's done. Now I need to go ahead and I need to update the quarterback rankings accordingly on screen, or not the quarterback, the tight end rankings. So if I go to tight end and I go to quarterback, I open these up. So with no Evan Ingram available, I need to alt tab. I need to go here. So let's go to tight end. Let's open this up a little bit. Evan Ingram's out. Isaiah. Okay, so we move these guys up, and Hayden Hurst jumps into the conversation. So we go here. Boom. Is that correct? That is correct. Beautiful. That's not what I wanted to do, but we will take it there. Boom. Okay. I think that pretty much covers it. The only other thing that I'm considering doing is what I'm going to do right now, which is I'm going to remove, and we'll go there. Okay. File, save as, copy. All right. I've done this in the past where I change rankings mid-stream on a Sunday. It's not a common occurrence, but when you have to, you have to. That's just the fact of the matter. And I'm so happy that we got all this information out today. Geez, that just makes it so much easier. And I'm glad for majority of this morning, I was telling, like, I would say like 90% of the time you guys asked about AJ Brown, I told you to be safe with it. I'm glad I did, because at least that way you already know the answer as to what you're going to play today, and you've already set it up and you're good to go. Okay, cool. So now that we're here, getting to the question that was literally just asked of me, in a full PPR, I'm playing Christian Kirk over Amari Cooper. Done. If there's other Christian Kirk questions that were asked in the past, I will try to go back to them with the Control F function, and I'll try to answer them again. Just want to close out these questions that are in front of me, and then I'll jump back into those just in case. But Christian Kirk jumped a really big margin in terms of my rankings there. Anthony Ling sends in a question, says, full PPR wasteland, Tyler Johnson, Deontay Johnson, or McLaughlin. In a full PPR, between those three, I probably end up playing Jaleel McLaughlin, honestly. Brian Wise says, RB and 2 flex, full PPR, Rachaad White, Charbonnet, Ford, Cooper. Between those available options, I'm going to play all 3 of the running backs in that scenario, Brian. Thank you. Trinity Vincent says, PPR, pick 2, please. Need a wide receiver and a flex. Singletary, Wan'Dale Robinson, Pickens, Ridley. Of those available, it's probably playing Singletary alongside of... I want to play Wan'Dale Robinson. I think it's just safer to play Singletary alongside of Pickens there. The Loop says, starting Jacobs over Dobbins, pray for me. I will do so. Thank you. Anthony O sends in a question, says, 12-team full PPR. If A.J. Brown is out, which he is, do I start McLaurin, Wan'Dale Robinson, or Brandon Cooks? Out of those available 3, just play Brandon Cooks as of right now. Thank you. Ash Gonzalez sends in a question, says, hey, Andrew, in a full PPR, I have A.J. Brown. Should I play it safe? Yeah, we're going to play it safe. Do I start Brian Thomas Jr.? Or, yeah, we're going to play Brian Thomas Jr. Thank you. Because, again, we got blessed with the information that, again, we know that he is out for sure. Kelly sends in a question, says, Ramondre, Dobbins, or DJ Moore? Pick 2. I will take both of the running backs there. Kelly, thank you. Okay, so really quickly, what I wanted to do is I want to go ahead and find Christian Kirk questions. So I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom here in terms of Christian Kirk potential questions that are available from today's live stream, if I can find them. Okay, are these all today? Yeah, they are. Okay, so that's yesterday. Okay, so we're going to scroll up, and I think I have all the Christian Kirk questions. So that's yesterday as well. Okay, so we're going all the way up, slowly but surely. Find the questions. So earlier today, Sam Castillo has asked, pick 2 in a full PPR. Kirk, Ridley, Moss, Shaheed, and Aaron Jones. It's Kirk and it's Aaron Jones. Done. Moving on. Earlier today, Reuven Roberts asked, Richardson, Gibbs, okay, Ayuk, okay, yeah, so that was a different conversation. That's not a starter sit question. Moving on. Bench 1. Okay, so Matt had sent in a question. He said Singletary, Kirk, or Pollard. If that's a full PPR, I will play Kirk there. Even in a half PPR, I'd probably go Pollard. Let's see here. Juan Munoz, who had asked J.K. Dobbins or Kirk in a full PPR. Now I'm going to have to cross-reference that. Give me a second here. So where I have Kirk there is, I'd have him higher in a full PPR. So then at that point, the question is, do I play this guy over Dobbins? Where's Dobbins accordingly in a full PPR? Okay. Where the Dobbins is there. And if he's sitting there theoretically, he could be ahead of Dobbins. That's a tough one. Full PPR, at that point, I'd be okay playing Kirk over Dobbins in a full PPR. Moving on, we had another question here. A.J. Brown or Christian Kirk? Yeah, we already know the answer to that one. That pretty much answers itself. Double, we're playing Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk or Brandon Cooks in a full PPR? Fernando Perez had asked that earlier. We'd already gotten to that question. We're going to go back to it, and now we're going to answer with playing Christian Kirk instead of Brandon Cooks in that scenario. And now we go back to Austin M's question, who was just most recent. Again, we're going to play Christian Kirk there. Thank you. Wow. Okay. Again, saved by the blessings of the one and only Adam Schefter / Ian Rappaport reports. Beautiful. Okay. Now with all that context, we move down the list to answering more questions. Shall we continue? Yes, we shall. We continue on with a question from Omar G. Omar, thank you. Full PPR, thoughts on Schumacher? Have Ingram at tight end. Well, considering you no longer have Ingram at tight end, it's time to play Schumacher. Again, in the absence of Ferguson, it should be okay. I don't know what we're gonna have to wait and see what kind of usage he gets. But again, they love to use the tight end position in Dallas. Dallas has had a top 15 end of season tight end in each of the last 5 years. Whether it has been Jason Witten, whether it has been Ferguson last year or Schultz in between. So Schumacher, not a bad overall option this week, considering, again, you're dealing with a tight end dilemma. Hank Hennig says, full PPR, kind of gross. Hopkins or Shaheed? I'm going to play Shaheed there. Thank you. Scott Green says, full PPR, Dortch or Cooks? Return yardage do count. Okay, let me go ahead and let me research Greg Dortch's return yardage stats so that I can give you my honest take on this, because otherwise I'm not really certain as to what his yardage looks like. So in terms of return yardage for... let me see. What did he have in week 1? So he had one punt return. Yeah, we're just going to play Brandon Cooks there. Look, I'm assuming a lot of touchbacks are going to take place like they have already thus far this season. So we're going to probably just lean in the direction of just playing Brandon Cooks in that scenario. Thank you for the question, Scott Green. Tano Martin sends in a question, says, I have A.J. Brown. Is it safe? Okay, so have A.J. Brown. So he's out. Safe flex, Ford or more. I'm going to play Ford. Jerome Ford. Thank you. Livid Knives says, start 3 in a full PPR. Collins, DJ Moore, Dell, McLaurin. Of the available, Nico Collins has to play. I think in the same vein, I'm also going to... McLaurin's on the fringe. I think I'm going to play DJ Moore and Dell ahead of him. So I'm going to go Collins, Moore, and Dell. Thank you. Chris T says, Parkinson or Schultz in a full PPR? I would continue to play Parkinson this week. Thank you. Full PPR from a question from Lucas says, DK Metcalf or Charbonnet? I'm going to play Charbonnet there. Thank you. BB sends in a question, says, full PPR. Do I trade Worthy and Javonte for London? Could we give another week to see what the heck London looks like? I don't know if I want to take that yet. Again, the Marquise Hollywood-Brown injury and absence for maybe the rest of the regular season, what it seems like, really does increase the value of Worthy. So I'm going to just say, let's wait on that for now. But again, if London actually looks like a decent wide receiver, because because Kirk Cousins, Christian Kirk's on the brain, because Kirk Cousins is actually, can function the offense, because last week could not function the offense. If he can function the offense and London looks decent, I wouldn't mind it. Jack sends in a question, says, what's up, Andrew? Hope the fantasy gods answer your prayers. I think they have almost to an extent. We're starting to path in the right direction. Non-PPR, Najee Harris or Devontae Adams. In a non-PPR 0 point per reception league, I would rather play Najee Harris over probably both of the options you've mentioned in this scenario, Jack. Thank you. Izzy sends in a question. Izzy says, in a PPR, I got Pollard in the flex, Ridley / or Singletary. Pollard stays in the flex. If you have another flex option to play, Singletary would take the cake. Thank you. Speak Your Piece says, should I trade Hill for Chase or hold to... Okay. Should I trade Hill for Chase or hold on to Hill? I would trade Tyreek Hill for Jamar Chase in a heartbeat. Thank you. Let me scroll down here. I think there may have been a question in which there wasn't anything attached. And did we take care of Dom Rocks? I think we did. Yeah, I think we did. Okay, cool. All right. After that question, Junior has sent in a super chat, and I think that's the one I skipped. Junior, I apologize. Let me go ahead and see. If you can do me a favor, Junior, type in the chat. It'd be greatly appreciated. Somebody in the chat just asked for underdog picks. Go watch my Hidden Gems video. Go down to the description of the video and click on there's a part of the goodness gracious. There's a part of the description that has a timestamp that literally says underdog picks. Go to that section, click on that, watch that section. That's my favorite picks of the week. If they're available, follow the instructions as to how I found those picks, and then you'll be good to go. Thank you. So yeah, we're looking for Junior. Thank you, Junior. Apologies. Again, it wasn't attached, so that's why there's a little bit of a delay on the answering of that. Until Junior answers. We took care of Lucas. We took care of BB. We took care of Jack. We took care of Izzy. Speak Your Piece. Lil Boy Blue. Let's find your question now, shall we? Lil Boy. Can this chat just update, please? Thank you. Lil Boy Blue, do me a favor. Type in the chat. Because I don't see a... Yeah. There's nothing attached to it. I need you to type in the chat. Otherwise, send me a DM on Twitter. Thank you. Alex Olivas says, Andrew, half PPR. Looking to fill the last flex spot. I have Bowers, Reed, Shaheed, Wanda Robinson, and McLaughlin. McBride is my tight. Okay, very well. In a half PPR, let me see where I have Bowers in comparison, and then I can go ahead and cross-reference, and let's figure this out. So we need to go half PPR, Control F, Bowers. Okay, so Bowers sits there. Now, in comparison to the other alternative options that you've mentioned in this specific question, Alex Olivas, I would, in fact, play Bowers over the bunch. That would be the play. Thank you. Uwu Savage says, London or Olave? I'd rather play Olave as it currently stands. Flex, have BA and CD. Yeah. Listen, if it was me, if you have CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Ayuk, I'm playing CeeDee Lamb, London, and Olave, and I'm benching Ayuk, but that's a completely different conversation. If I'm answering your question flat, it's just Olave. Thank you. Cinco 2X says Charbonnet or Brian Thomas Jr. I would still play Charbonnet there. Thank you. Matt says, am I still benching Kirk for Singletary Pollard? Let me see. If I go to half PPR and I go to Pollard, theoretically, and then I go and I look at the wide receivers that were next to the ranking of where the new... So no, I mean, look, in a half PPR, full PPR, Christian Kirk gets the plays now over Pollard. Based on where I have him currently ranked and where the other wide receivers that correspond next to him sit next to Pollard in my flex rankings, no, it would be Christian Kirk going forward, Matt. Thank you for the question and the follow-up. Stephen Loya says, half PPR, start Tank Dell or take a chance on DeMarcus Robinson since Puka is out. I would still just play Tank Dell there. I could see the potential upside that DeMarcus Robinson could present, but I'm going to play Tank Dell there very confidently. Ironic Fate says BTJ over likely since Ingram is out. Probably, yes. Brendan D says, morning, 14-team full PPR, spot fill. Zamir White or Scary Terry? Zamir White is never going to play in a full PPR in comparison. I will happily play Scary Terry McLaurin. Thank you. Shane Howard says, hey, Andrew, in a half PPR, I have one flex and two wideouts, potentially need to be filled in. Cup, Debo, Henry, Olave, Metcalf, and Harris. Yeah, I think it's relatively easy for me here. Cup and Debo are your starting wideouts, and your flex is going to be Derrick Henry. Thank you. Appreciate it. Gucci Han, Louis Han, hope you're doing well, Gucci. Says, my guy, half PPR. Who do I start as my RB2 in a flex between Kamara, Ayuk, and ETN? Yeah, between those three, I'm benching Ayuk. I'm playing Kamara and ETN. Thank you. Okay, so who was I looking for? Little Boy Blue, and I was looking for Junior as well. So let's go ahead. Let's find Junior. Junior, you here? Junior's gone. Junior, apologies. It is what it is. Nothing was attached to the super chat, so it just came and gone. Evan Ingram suffered hamstring injury pregame. I mean, then again, the fantasy gods, even, what's funny? The fantasy gods, they told us, hey, guess what? A.J. Brown is not going to play tomorrow. Rejoice. Great. Oh my God, we're so happy. What a great overall day. Evan Ingram's hurt already. The fuck is that? How, I mean, what kind of balance? It's like the Force. It's like Star Wars. There's a balance to the Force. Something good can happen, then something bad immediately happens. You know, it has to balance out. There can't just be all good or all bad. So expect all of it. 50% of us are losing today, just basically off of Why did Evan Ingram have to get hurt? Yeah, great question, John. Ask the universe. Juwan Johnson or Schoonmaker? I think I'd still rather play Juwan Johnson there, to be honest. Lil Boy Blue said I typed it. Okay, let me go ahead and get to that right now. Okay, Lil Boy Blue, where's your question? It says, yeah, my bad, Andrew. I typed. Where, brother? Brother, I don't see it. What does that even do? How does that help me? You didn't even type it. I don't see it. You gotta type it again, bruv. I'm telling you, man. This chat moves quick. You gotta go again. It's not in there. I'm Control F functioning. I cannot find the question. Okay, let's see here. We had a question after that. We'll come back after a while. Just trying to catch up on all these other questions. Accordingly, we're scrolling down. After Gucci Han, Louis Han, we had Andrew Clark. Andrew, hope you're doing well, sir. Andrew Clark says, in a full PPR, Amari Cooper, Dell, Deontay Johnson, Chase Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, Jahan Dotson, pick 2 wide receiver and a flex. Okay, if I'm picking 2 wide receivers in a flex, Amari Cooper and Tank Dell have to play. The flex out of the potential options going into this week will probably end up being Deontay Johnson as well. That's the way that I'm going to funnel it going in this direction. Thank you. Paul sends in a question. Says, hey, full PPR, double flex. For the last flex spot, I'm now stuck between Charbonnet and Kirk. Ooh, in a full PPR? Okay, let's think about this. Charbonnet sits in this position in my full PPR rankings. Is that even remotely close to... Okay, and then where do I have... Okay, so Christian Kirk sits there and a half. Where the heck did he go? Okay, so where is this? I need to just represent this in my brain so I don't get rattled here. Okay, so Christian Kirk sits there in a half PPR, which is, okay, behind that. Perfect, done. Now I have context. Now if I go over here, based on the projection of it, and I take it into account, theoretically, based on how I have it structured, you would then... Oh, wow. It's close. No, you play Charbonnet still. Yeah, you play Charbonnet still there. Thank you, Paul. I'd still roll with Charbonnet. Anonymous sends in a question. Says, AJ is out now. Play Javonte, Dobbs, Mooney, or Polk. Javonte is the play of the group. I don't like any of the other options. Thank you. Chris Hammers sends in a question. Says, 0.2 per rush, 0.5 per reception, 40/50 touchdown rushing bonus. Very well. And receiving, but worth less. 100/200 yard bonus. Pick Pacheco, Josh Jacobs, Mason, Najee. Okay. If I'm picking 2, it's Pacheco and Mason. Thank you very much, Chris Hammers. RKO Destiny says, half PPR, JSN or McLaughlin. I'm going to play McLaughlin there. Thank you. Nathan Salazar says, PPR, Dell or Dobbins. I'd probably just play Dobbins there. Yeah, I would. Mr. Noodle says, Andrew, so Dallas or Johnson now that AJ Brown is out? Dallas Goedert or Johnson? Okay, wait. Mr. Noodle, I need context. I don't remember. There's been so many questions. Mr. Noodle, let's see here. Go down. Andrew, do I play Dallas or... Oh, gosh. Mr. Noodle, what is the context? Dallas Goedert or Tyler Johnson? Is that what the question is? Yeah, that is the question. Dallas Goedert would be the play there. Thank you. Wait, forgot to upgrade that. Well, I wouldn't upgrade him that much, but still, yeah, we'll take him over there. Alfredo sends in a question. Says, full PPR, Etienne, Jacobs, or Charbonnet? In a full PPR, I think it's kind of hard for me not to play Etienne, so it'll be Etienne 1, Charbonnet 2, Jacobs 3. Alfredo, thank you. Ulysses sends in a question, says, start, sit, full PPR, double flex. My running backs are Bijan, Gibbs, Ford. Wide receivers are Kupp, Devontae Adams, Tank Dell, Christian Kirk, and Brandon Cooks. So if I'm starting 6 of these options, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and 2 flex, your 2 running backs that you auto start are Bijan and Gibbs. The 2 wide receivers that you auto start are Kupp and Adams. And the 2 flex options that you auto start technically in this scenario, oh God, in a full PPR, where do I have Tank Dell in comparison? Because that is going to be the cutoff angle here. If I go here and okay, here we go. Let's figure this out. Now that I have to readjust rankings, it has fucked my brain up. In this scenario, you play Ford and you'd play Kirk in your flex. there, Ulysses. So again, Bijan, Gibbs, Cup, Adams, Kirk, Ford. Thank you, Ulysses. J-Man 211221 says, Brian Thomas Jr., Kirk, or Jacobs. Give me Kirk. Thank you. Jesse G says, in a half PPR, AJ is out. I have Ridley, Brandon Cooks, Wanda Robinson, Jahan Dotson, JSN, or Adunze. I need 2. Of the available options you have to your disposal, Jesse G played Brandon Cooks and Wanda Robinson. Those are my 2 suggestions. DZ Dalla sends in a question. Says, standard league. Need 2 running backs. Flex, Connor, Ford, Dobbins, Montgomery, Brian Robinson Jr., McLaurin, Ridley. Okay, so 2 running backs in a flex. Connor plays. Ford plays. Actually, okay. Standard league, 0 points per reception. It's Connor, it's Montgomery, and it's Dobbins. Those are the 3 that you play this week. Dak or Baker, will take Dak. Chad Anderson says Brian Thomas Jr. or Jerome Ford in the flex today. We'll take Jerome Ford. Thank you. Enemies within says Ridley or DeMarcus Robinson. I'll play DeMarcus Robinson there. If DeMarcus, cut Caleb or Chase Brown. Caleb. Thank you. Sliced Bread says half PPR, Derrick Henry or Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason plays over Derrick Henry. Thank you. I mean, again, they're both top 10 running backs, but that's my preference. OJ Running says, is Zach Charbonnet a long-term hold? No. Kenneth Walker will be back next week, if not the week after. Or can I drop after this week for either Zach Moss or Rashid? Yeah, you can drop after this week. Again, the assumption is that Kenneth Walker's injury is not major. It's just a precautionary issue because, again, it's the beginning of the year. Julian says, appreciate all your hard work. Thank you so much. No problem. Lawrence sends in a question, but there wasn't anything attached, Lawrence. So if you can do me a favor, type in the live chat. That'd be greatly appreciated. Okay, so Lil Boy Blue's question was, would you rather cut Stafford or Baker to stash Raiders defense next week? I got Hurts. If I'm going to cut one of the 2 quarterbacks, I'm cutting Stafford because next week they play against the 49ers. I have no interest in playing Stafford against the 49ers. I would play Baker next week. So that is the answer. Now let's find Lawrence's question. Lawrence, where are you? Lawrence, where art thou, my good sir? Lawrence says full PPR, likely or Pitts, Dobbins or Jacobs? Pitts over likely, Dobbins over Jacobs. Thank you, Lawrence. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Benjamin sends in a question, says pick 2 for today, Laporta, Lively, or Kittle. If I'm playing 2 of the 3, I'm playing Kittle and I'm playing Laporta. That's the way that I would approach it. Thank you. Cameron Kaplan says, with A.J. Brown out, do you move up Goddard? Yeah, technically he does move up, but of the available tight ends, right? So theoretically, he could be moved up ahead of Bowers. Am I playing him over Isaiah Likely? Maybe. Nah, I don't think so. Look, the issue with the issue with Goddard is that he still doesn't get touchdown upside. So, yes, he's going to get more receptions. In a PPR, he'd move up significantly higher, but in a half PPR, it's not like he makes a huge world of difference to where he's jumping a massive ton, where he's getting in the top 5 or anything of that nature. Because again, the touchdowns are really just going to be harbored by Hurts and Saquon going forward, unless it's a deep ball receiving threat option. And typically, Goddard is not, aligned within that workload. 7th Season says Swift or Brandon Cooks in the flex. I'd rather play Brandon Cooks. Thank you. Carlos Laurie sends in a question. Carlos, hope you're doing good. I hope you're doing well, sir. Says, just lost Evan Ingram in warmups. Should I pick up K. Dotton or Dalton Schultz? I'd pick up Dalton Schultz. Thank you. Bowers are likely in a standard league. In a standard 0 point per reception format, I would play Bowers ahead of likely. Thank you. Moving on, trying to catch up. Again, we are about 30 some odd minutes away from kickoff. Again, I appreciate you guys being patient with everything that has gone on, changing of the rankings, all that kind of jazz. I appreciate you all. Again, if you haven't yet already, I know there's many of you in here. If we can do me a favor and click the like button down below, it continues to support the channel so that I can continue to bring content to you guys in this manner. Again, do not forget, besides today's live stream right now, I will be back tonight after the Sunday Night Football game. So if you guys want to hear my thoughts on week 1, all the shambles that probably occur over the course of today, great, fantastic. Outside of that, let's continue on to answering questions. We got many to catch up on. Ironic Fate says, okay, so we took our Ironic Fate. We're going to play Bowers there. Quinton, thank you very much. Says flex, Adams, Brian Robinson Jr. or Ramondre in a full PPR. Let me check where I have Ramondre in comparison to Adams, because that's really going to be the breakdown in this scenario. As it currently stands in a full PPR, I have Devontae Adams 2 spots ahead of Ramondre Stevenson, both in the same tier. So if you would like to play Ramondre, you've got a good feeling about it, you play him. Otherwise, Devontae Adams is where I currently have it ranked highest of the available options that you've mentioned in your question. Thank you again. Greatly appreciate it, Quinton. Cinco2X sends in a question. Brandon Cooks or Palmer off the waivers? Brandon Cooks, thank you. Shubes sends in a question. Says full PPR. Andrews likely Goddard this week. I'm still going to play Andrews there. Thank you. Gabriel Martin says standard scoring Ramondre or J.K. Dobbins. In a standard scoring format, 0 points per reception. I think I still want to play do I want to still play Ramondre? Let me see where I have it ranked in terms of my projections. Where the heck is my Excel sheet? I am scrambling to try to find stuff here. Accordingly, let's see. Okay, and if we go here, Control F Ramondre, and then Dobbins. Yeah, I mean, look, it's not, they're not far in terms of separation of value, but I'd still go with Ramondre in this scenario. Yeah, I'd still go with Ramondre. Thank you for the question. Appreciate it. Okay. Did my YouTube break? I think it's breaking. No, don't break. Okay. Catching up. Shubes, we took care of you. Gabriel Martin, we took care of you. Teddy H, thank you, Teddy. Teddy says, Zeke or Brandon Cooks in a PPR? We'll take Brandon Cooks there. I have Brown and Ingram hurt. Yeah, very well. Play Brandon Cooks. You're good to go. Ford or Charbonnet, half PPR. Charbonnet's, is he right next to him? I think they're back-to-back in my half PPR rankings. Let me check. Charbonnet and Ford are right next to each other. 18 and 19, same tier. Again, if you have a preference, one over the other, you can go for it. Otherwise, I have Jerome Ford set as the highest of the two. Let's see here. Larcotics? Yeah. 12-man full PPR. AJ Brown is injured. Got me in a pickle. Who do I start in the second flex? Jaden Reed, DeAndre Swift, Gus Edwards, or Jaleel McLaughlin? Start second flex. Jaden Reed, DeAndre Swift, Gus Edwards. In a full PPR scoring format, I have Jaden Reed ranked the highest, probably out of the rest of the alternative options. So Reed will probably be the play there. Ivan Garcia says Christian Kirk or Demarcus Robinson. Christian Kirk. Thank you, Ivan. Justin Elson's in a question says flex one, Brian Thomas Jr. likely or Palmer. Considering the recent news, we'll probably go with Brian Thomas Jr. there. It's just more opportunity for targets. Thank you. Shelby Burns sends in a question says Jacoby Myers or Alan Lazard. That's a really good question. Let me see where I have them accordingly back to back. So is it a full PPR question? It is a full PPR question. So, well, actually, it's not. I don't even know what the format is, Shelby. I think it'll be relatively similar across the board. In a half PPR, I'd feel relatively comfortable. Yeah, so as it currently stands, it's probably full PPR Myers. If you play in a half PPR format, it could be, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's Lazard in a half, and it's probably Myers in a full. That's the way that I would approach it. Thank you. Yumity sends in a question, says half PPR, choose two, Jacobs, JK, Montgomery. Of those three options, I would play J.K. Dobbins and David Montgomery. As for your follow-up question, full PPR, am I crazy for benching Jaden Reed for Lazard? I wouldn't do that. I'd still play Jaden Reed in a full PPR. Thank you. But I don't think you're crazy I don't think you're crazy for considering or executing that. So, again, it's kind of a wait to be seen. Let's see how that transpires. Because, again, I don't trust Malik Willis either, but I still think that he's a professional quarterback. He's in the league for a reason. He knows how to throw the ball. Even though, the only game that I remember Malik Willis actually playing in, if you guys remember that game a couple years back against the Kansas City Chiefs, where the Tennessee Titans, in the absence of Ryan Tannehill, were forced into an overtime matchup against the Chiefs, where Malik Willis had quite literally only 5 passing completions the whole game. It was one of the most ridiculous games of all time. They should have given, the fact that the former Tennessee Titans head coach is no longer a head coach in the NFL is ridiculous. I mean, that man is an actual good coach. I think he coaches for the Browns now. But anyway, regardless, doesn't matter. Continuing on. In this scenario, I don't think you're crazy. Dylan Taylor, 10-team PPR. I have Anthony Richardson, Hall, Gibbs, Mason, Kamara, Evans, London, Devontae Smith, Ingram. Should I trade a running back for Laporta or a wide receiver upgrade? Considering your Ingram issue/injury, maybe it's time to go get Laporta in this scenario, Dylan. Thank you. Kevin T says full PPR flex, Brian Thomas Jr. or Bowers. In a full PPR, I'll just let me check where I have Bowers in comparison. Let's see. Bowers is there. already ahead of, but is he enough to jump the line and get into the pocket of Bowers? I think I'm going to still play Bowers there. Thank you for the question. Okay. Catching up. Almost fully caught up, but not yet. After Kevin T's question, we had one that comes in from MT. MT says, Mason or Amari Cooper? Sorry, Mason and Amari Cooper for Amon-Ra. Sure, give me Amon-Ra. If you don't have McCaffrey, give me Amon-Ra. That's beautiful. Old J Running says, if I drop Charbonnet, list above. Sheesh Louise. Old J, where is the list? Old J Running. Old J, I don't see a question. Or I don't see the quote-unquote list above. Yeah, my Control F function does not find it. You're going to have to type that in the live chat because otherwise your boy cannot find it. Thank you. All right, moving on. We had a TC who sends in a question, says, TC is in Tom Cruise. Is that you? Play with fantasy? Amari Cooper or Brian Robinson Jr. in a half PPR flex. Half PPR, it probably ends up being Brian Robinson. Let me check really quickly. Yes, it would be Brian Robinson in a half PPR. Thank you for the question, Tom Cruise. Ironic Fate says, Diggs or Worthy in a standard league. In a standard scoring format, 0 points per reception, I probably lean towards playing Worthy. Ro Stackson says, AJ Brown is out. Hurts over Murray still. Yes, I would still play Jalen Hurts over Murray. I don't think, it would be very difficult for me to, in any scenario, quite honestly, sit Jalen Hurts. Adam Amar sends in a question, says, pick one, start in a half PPR. Pitts, Zeke, or Ridley. Very well. I see you, Adam. I see you trying to be sneaky with it, mother sucker. Between the group, I'll probably just in a half PPR. Let me see where I have Zeke in comparison. Ezekiel. We'll play Kyle Pitts ahead of him. Thank you. We're moving on to a question that comes in from Leaf, who says, half PPR, Smitty, ETN, Moore, and Dobbins. If I'm starting 2.5 PPR, it's Smitty and ETN. Thank you. Nick Welsh sends in a question. PPR, double flex. I need two. I used to have a friend named Nick Welsh, but that was spelled differently. So that's why I was like, is that him? No. PPR, double flex. Need two flexes between Worthy, Kirk, Dobbins, and Brian Thomas Jr. If it's a PPR scoring format, I think the best plan of action is most likely going with like Kirk. Do I play Worthy over Dobbins in a full PPR? That's the question. Full PPR. Where art thou, Worthy? So Dobbins is there. So in this current circumstance, in a full PPR scoring format, Nick Welsh, I'm playing Kirk and Dobbins. Thank you. Chris Foy sends in a question, says, all right, my guy, helped me win last year. People saying different things, Ayuk or Harrison? Talk to me. I mean, at this point, I'm going to play Harrison. I drafted Harrison to have him be the guy. Everything that I've seen as of this week kind of implies that they're going to have Ayuk still on a little bit of a limited role. Nothing really that I have found kind of combats that overall narrative. So as it currently stands, I'm going to continue to roll out Marvin Harrison in hopes that, again, he's going to find value. I mean, he took on a secondary that just a couple days ago, on Thursday, were able to force Tua to just completely be in shambles and throw 3 picks. And we had no value out of Waddle and Tyreek Hill. So we can understand that maybe in a game in week 1 in which Marvin Harrison was irrelevant, maybe it wasn't the quarterback or the target opportunity, it was rather the matchup. And I think going into this week, taking on this defense with LA, I think is far more advantageous in this scenario rather than playing Ayuk in a potential limited nature. Thank you, Chris. Shane sends in a question, says, JSN, Rashid Shaheed, Broncos running backs, I need one for the flex. In a full PPR scoring format, let me see where I have Shaheed in comparison to the bunch. Shaheed. Okay, I have Jaleel McLaughlin ahead of the bunch. Thank you. Moving on, we had a question that comes in from Big Al 9, who says, Godwin or Charbonnet in the flex? Standard. If it's a standard 0 point per reception, I'm playing Charbonnet. Thank you. 7th season says full PPR. Shaheed, D-Hop, Madison, Javonte Williams, or Dortch. Also have Dallas defense. I don't know why that matters, but in this, I know why it matters because you're asking about Shaheed. Got it. Okay. In this scenario, assuming Jay Williams is not Jameson You're playing Shaheed. Mostly, yeah, you are. Thank you. That's my suggestion. Appreciate it. Okay. So Jared W sent in a question and there was nothing attached. Let me go ahead and make a list here. Jared W. We also had a question that wasn't attached from, I think that was it. So the only other thing that was missing was Old J running, who was running me for a loop here. Old J. Old J's running me for a loop again. Here we go. I can't find it, Jay. Jared W, there was nothing in the chat, nothing attached. Do me a favor, type. Thank you. In the live chat. Until then, answering more questions so we can catch up. Again, we are 20 minutes away from kickoff. Again, I appreciate you all being patient. Continue on. Himmy, there was nothing attached. Oh gosh, guys, please. We can't do this to me. You can't do this to me. You know how much I sacrificed? Himmy, thank you very much. Full PPR. Traded BTJ and Shaheed for Flowers and Reed. Beautiful trade. Beautiful. Fantastic. Also trying to trade for a running back. I have London, Hill, Neighbors, Higgins, JSN. Any recommendations? Yeah. In this current circumstance, you wait. Let's see if London and Neighbors can have good performances. When they do, we're going to have buy low options on Monday's video tomorrow as the potential guys that you can go after. If, in fact, a guy like ETN has another slump week, that's who we kind of are typically going to be pivoting in the direction of trying to go grab. Other than that, we'll have to wait and see till tomorrow. Obviously, you won't be able to make trades right now. Let's see here. Larcotics. I get it now. Thank you. Listen, when you guys put in these weird-ass names in front of me, my dyslexic ass is just going to get it all messed up. So it is what it is. Thank you. Appreciate it. Ankit Patel says, in a 12-team full PPR, start Palmer, Dortch, or Gus Edwards. In a full PPR, I'm going to play Dortch there. Thank you, Ankit. Appreciate it. Shackle Free says, in a half PPR, Cooks or Brian Thomas Jr. with Ingram out. I think I'd still play Brandon Cooks there because, again, with Jake Ferguson out. Thank you. Tulugu sends in a question, says, Evans, Jacobs, Charbonnet, Ford, Brian Robinson Jr. Flex, half PPR. Mike Evans is the play. Thank you. Crooked Soul says, flex in a full PPR, Ford, Brian Robinson, Pollard, or more. I'm playing Jerome Ford there. Also, in my other league, wondering if I should give London another shot, him or Ford. In your other league, is it a full PPR? If it's a full PPR as well, let me just go ahead and reference my rankings just so we can. London is ahead of, no, he's not even ahead of Ford. I mean, at this point, I think I just play Ford in both your leagues. It's not a matter of not giving him a chance. It's just a matter that your alternative options are quite frankly just better at this point. Okay, so we were looking for Old J. Anything Old J? Old J just took the day off. Very well. Maybe you sent in another question afterward, but I don't see anything else. And then we need Jared W. Jared W took the day off. Thank you, guys. All right, keep it moving. We move on to A-Rod BX84 says, do I play Jahan Dotson or Christian Watson? Greg Dortch available? No, but honestly, if I had to play one of those two, I probably end up playing. I'll play Jahan Dotson there. Brett Wood says, full PPR, Deontay Johnson, Palmer, Shaheed, Lazard, DeMarcus Robinson. Of those available, DeMarcus Robinson is the best. Brett Wood, thank you. Pitch Herndon says, Dobbins or Worthy in a PPR? I get nervous about Dobbins. No, I don't blame you for getting nervous. In a PPR, I have Dobbins set at that position. He is in the same tier as Worthy in my flex rankings, full PPR. They are a couple spots next to each other. I do have Dobbins slightly ahead. If you want to play Worthy, I don't have an issue with it. Again, they're in the same tier for a reason. That means they're interchangeable. Vlad sends in a question. Says, good morning. Brandon Cooks, Christian Watson, Michael Pittman Jr. What two are you starting? I'm going to start Michael Pittman and Brandon Cooks. Thank you. Carlos Laurie says, flex, Connor, Worthy, JSN, Connor. Thank you. Buster sends in a question, says, why Dobbins over Charbonnet in a full PPR? I don't think I have, no, I don't have Dobbins over Charbonnet in a full PPR. Checking my rankings. Dobbins is 19, Charbonnet 17. I have Charbonnet ahead of Dobbins in a full PPR. Maybe you had a misunderstanding. Maybe you heard me wrong. Maybe I misspoke. Either way, I do have Charbonnet ahead of Dobbins in a full PPR. Thank you, Buster, for the clarification. Josh says full PPR. Adams, Diggs, London. Adams, for sure, number one. Abraham Chavez sends in a question. Thank you, Abraham. Says in a full PPR, would you play Montgomery or Marvin Harrison Jr.? Also, would you okay, first and foremost, between the two, let me check who I have ranked higher in my full PPR rankings. Montgomery, or I have Marvin Harrison Jr. quite literally one spot ahead of Montgomery in a full PPR. So that kind of answers your question. But if it's my team, I probably go with Marvin Harrison in a full PPR. He's one spot ahead. So if you're like, nah, you know what? Let me just play Monty. I trust him more. Then just go with that. I don't have an issue with it. As for your follow-up, also, would you trade Pacheco, Connor, Terry for Breece Hall? No, I wouldn't. I have Monty, Najee, Brian. No, I think I'd keep what you have. I like the depth at which, you have multiple players at positions that could help you rather than just one singular running back. I'm okay with what you have in that scenario. Is Jared W. going to show up anytime soon? Okay, Jared W. sent in a question that had something attached to it. Got it. Understood. I just meant just type in the live chat. I didn't mean like send in another super chat, but I guess that works all the same. So Jared W. says, in a full PPR, Dobbins or Najee Harris? We'll take Dobbins there. Thank you, Jared. Juan Tifa says, AJ is out. Who do I start? Brian Thomas Jr., Hopkins, or Cooks? I'm going to take Brandon Cooks there in a full PPR. Thank you. Noah sends in a question. Says, start 2. Diggs, Worthy, Ford, Sharps, Amari Cooper, Brian. Okay. So of the available options you have here, it's probably Sharp and Diggs as the number 1 and 2. Noah, thank you. The Beast Hydra says, lose depth for better tight end and running backs, ? 12-man league, Allen, Jones, Cook, London, Wilson, Bowers, Rice, benches, Dobbin. You have, okay. Lose depth. Yeah, look, here's the thing. How much better are you going to get at running back? Like, you have, okay. Jones, yeah. No, that's fine. I don't mind losing depth in order to get better players at those positions. You can definitely make some upgrades there. I don't have no issue with that. Tamir sends in a question, says, full PPR, Jahan Dotson or Palmer? I think I'd legitimately rather play Jahan Dotson. Half PPR, DJ Moore or Pauly? Who the heck is Pauly? Like Polk? Or do you mean Pauly? I'm going to play DJ Moore. I don't know who the heck Pauly is. Roy Shaver says, just because I appreciate you. Thank you, Roy. Thank you very much. Jelly Monster says, start Ramondre or Najee Harris in a full PPR. I'll take Ramondre there in a full PPR. Also, do you think Jordan Whittington is good waiver wire pickup? Honestly, time will tell. If you want to pick him up right now, just before the weekend hits, just to see exactly, maybe he hits, he doesn't, you drop him, it's no harm, no foul. I don't mind it. I just don't know if he's going to play ahead of Tyler Johnson or Demarcus Robinson very much. Steve Loya sends in a question, says, thoughts on this move, half PPR, trade Kincaid and Jerome Ford for Laporta and Jamal Williams. Thinking about the long game, once Nick Chubb returns, okay, that's fine. Laporta's going to have to really dominate. You're going to have a lot of running back depth because really Jamal Williams is not anything but a handcuff in this scenario, but I'm okay with it. I'm not like super against the potential move. Okay, I think I've caught up essentially here. Okay, cool. Is there anybody's questions that weren't attached to anything that I needed to address accordingly? There we go. There's a name. Pranay had nothing attached to their question. Let's see if I can find Pranay. Pranay says, I have Christian McCaffrey, Kenneth Walker, Zamir White, Alexander Madison, and Bucky Irving. Who do I start in a PPR start to? Okay, Pranay. Christian McCaffrey's not playing. Kenneth Walker's not playing. So of the available options you have, in a full PPR, between Zamir White, Madison, and Bucky Irving, I'm playing Zamir White and Madison. Thank you. Okay, we took care of that. Was there any other questions that theoretically were not attached to anything? Himmy we took care of, I think. Yeah, Jared W we took care of. Beautiful. Okay, good. Awesome. Perfect. Getting back to the live chat. Scrolling all the way to the bottom. Catching up slowly but surely. Rowit, I see you. JT, I see you. Alex, okay. Very much so. A lot of updates. Okay, cool. So, scrolling down. Derek Pool Guy. Derek, thank you very much. Says, in a full PPR, Zach Moss or Calvin Ridley? I will take Zach Moss. Thank you. We're scrolling down to Alex Murray, who says, full PPR, Jacoby Myers or Zeke? Let me see where I have them ranked accordingly in my full PPR rankings. We have Myers. I have Myers there. I have Ezekiel Elliott 3 spots ahead of him. I would take Zeke as it currently stands. Thank you. JT says, in a half PPR, which two do I start? Moore, Sharp, or Josh Jacobs? In a half PPR, safest play is probably going Sharp and Josh Jacobs. Do I have Jacobs ahead of DJ Moore there in the half PPR, though? That's the question. DJ Moore I currently have sitting there. Who do I have? Where do I have the? Okay, at this moment, so at the moment, the safer play is to play both running backs. I currently have DJ Moore and Charbonnet ahead of Jacobs. Thank you, JT. Rowett sends in a question. Rowett says, came to Chicago for the weekend. Gonna rock my Cody Parkinson jersey to the bars here. I mean, I don't even know who Cody Parkinson is. If I'm thinking off the top of my head, it's a kicker, right? Is it the double doink guy? Oh, no. You meant Colby. You mean Colby Parkinson, right? Who's Cody? Maybe it's Cody Parkinson. Because whenever I look up Cody Parkinson, it just pops up Colby. So that's maybe what you're referring to. Thank you, Rowett. Josh sends in a question. Josh, the question is the following. Full PPR, Jacobs, Stevenson, or Kamara. Pick two. Stevenson and Kamara are my suggestions there, Josh. Thank you. Ravens fan says 3 wide receivers, 1 flex, half PPR. Drop Wicks for McMillan or Tyler Johnson. I'd rather drop him for Tyler Johnson. Thank you. Eric sends in a question, says half PPR. Judy or Palmer? I'd rather play Judy. They are ranked in order in your rankings, but Palmer is no longer questionable, so I just wanted to check. Yeah, I'll still roll with Judy there. Again, the reason why I had Palmer there was because that's where I had him ranked. I have him as a questionable tag in case he doesn't play, just so everybody knows, like, you might have to remove him out of your lineup. So as it currently stands, I'd still go with Judy as it currently, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for following up as well. Stu says, you switched Brian Thomas and McConkey. Full reason? Did I switch Brian Thomas and McConkey? Like on the rankings? Let me see here. Let it swap for a second. Because I didn't have McConkey ranked in... Yeah, Brian Thomas Jr. is still there. McConkey moves up because A.J. Brown gets removed. In terms of this list, is this what you're referring to? If that's what you're referring to, it's because A.J. Brown got removed and McConkey moved up. Otherwise, Brian Thomas also still moves up. If you are picking two of the potential options, though, in a full PPR scoring format, in my full PPR rankings, where do I have McConkey in comparison to... Yeah, I mean, considering the Evan Ingram news, I'd probably play Brian Thomas Jr. there still. Yeah, we'll go with Brian Thomas there, Stu. Thank you. Jerry Gonzalez says, any upsets for today? Moneyline going big? I have no clue. Honestly, I don't really care. I just want my fantasy players to stay healthy. That's really it. Thank you for the question, Jerry. If I was going to predict a potential quote-unquote upset, I'd say maybe Cardinals over Rams. Just throwing it out there. As a Rams fan, it's disgusting to say. I should be excommunicated from the community, but quite frankly, I just have a feeling. It just, I don't know why. And also, maybe the Patriots beating the Seahawks. That's another one. I don't know why that one either. That one just feels weird. Papa Bless says Flowers or Ramondre. I'm playing Ramondre there. Thank you. Rusty Wright says 4 point per passing touchdown. Start Malik Willis or Jacoby Brissett. I'd rather play Jacoby Brissett. Thank you. Jamel Joyner sends in a question. Says half PPR. I need 2 flex options between Montgomery, Moss, BTJ Ridley, and Brandon Cooks. Okay, so of the available options you have, I would suggest playing David Montgomery, number 1. And then it's between Brandon Cooks and Zach Moss in a half PPR. So let's see where Control F, Cooks. So Cooks sits there. He's behind Zach Moss. So if I'm suggesting this, Jamel Joyner, it's Montgomery and Moss today. Thank you. Spiteful Karma 48 says Jacobs, Mason, Charbonnet, Kamara, full PPR, start 3. Mason, number 1, Kamara, number 2, Charbonnet, number 3. Those are the 3 that I would start. Spiteful, thank you very much. We move on to a question from, let's see here. After Spiteful, we have Sip, who says, Sip CLD. Andrew, good morning. Full PPR. Cooks, Singletary, or Kirk? I'm going to play Christian Kirk there. Thank you. Will Taylor says, yo, happy Sunday. It is a happy Sunday. I got a question. Should I flex Mason over Neighbors? Yes. I had Allen and Waddle. Yeah, I'd still play Mason there. Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Thrax sends in a question. Says Pittman or Montgomery in the flex. If it's a half PPR, I'm playing Montgomery. If it's a full PPR, I'm playing Pittman. Thank you. Moving on, we had a question that came in from Chris B. the RD, who says, is there concern from Ingram rest of season? No, I mean, look, it depends on what kind of an injury it is. It could be an IR stint. It could be 2 weeks. We'll see. I have Bowers and Ingram on my roster available. On the waivers is Josh Palmer and AD Mitchell. Yeah, no, keep what you have on roster. Keep Ingram, keep Bowers, keep it as such. Yeah, you're good to go. Thank you. Arda sends in a question. Kamara or Devonta Smith in the flex half PPR? Shoot. Half PPR would I rather put... Jeez Louise. Without AJ in the lineup, it should be a Devonta Smith career game. That being said, do I prefer a Kamara and a half? Let's see. Kamara, where art thou? Kamara sits there. With the adjustment of moving Devonta Smith to there, which is a very kind of humble shift, he'd still theoretically be behind Kamara. So it's still Kamara in this scenario. If it was a full PPR, I'd blindly just take would I? Yeah, I'm going to take Kamara there. That's fine. I'm pretty comfortable with it. It's close, though. You can tell off of my hesitation that it is relatively close. Thank you for the question. Appreciate it. To the max says Diggs or Charbonnet. I'm going to go with Charbonnet there. Thank you. Noah says Worthy, Amari Cooper, or Ford. Depends on scoring format. If we're playing in a full PPR, I could justify everybody else. But if it's a half PPR, I'm probably Ford. Yeah, it's probably Ford. Connor Rudden says half PPR, Charbonnet, Devonta Smith. I'm going to play Devonta Smith there. Thank you. Ali says start Jacoby Myers in the flex over Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen, if he's starting, if he's playing, he is in my lineup, ready to go over Jacoby Myers. Thank you. OJ Running says I suck. Drop Charbonnet. After today, pick up Zach Moss, Demarcus Robinson, Wanda Robinson. Okay, so of those available, so after today, you would drop Charbonnet and you would pick up Zach Moss. Thank you for the clarification and the return to question, just so we can get that handled. Thank you. Appreciate it. As for the following, Jerry Gonzalez says flex one in a PPR format. Stevenson, Brian Rob. Okay, yeah. Of those available options, Jerry Gonzalez, I'm going to play Ramondre Stevenson. Thank you. Appreciate it. Turd sends in a question. Says full PPR. Pick two. Montgomery, Charbonnet, Metcalf, Olave. If it's my team in a full PPR, I'm playing Charbonnet on Olave this week. Thank you. David Ramos. Yes, we are almost there. Rexton says PPR, London, Ford, or MHJ. If I'm picking one, I'm probably playing London there. Actually, you know what? Let's go Ford. Let's just play it safe for the week. Likely or Bowers? I think I have Likely ahead of him. Let's see. In a half PPR, I have Likely ahead of him. In a full PPR, I have Likely ahead of him. Yeah, it's going to be Likely play this week. Keenan Allen is out. Is that for sure? Yeah. Let me see. 2 minutes ago, is there any new reports? Keenan Allen, doubtful. Yeah, okay, very well. Thank you for the update. That was 5 minutes ago. Okay, good. Good to know. So, considering Keenan Allen is theoretically going to potentially miss here, the question that was just asked regarding Keenan Allen, let me scroll back up, is Jacoby. Yeah, let's just play Jacoby. Let's not even risk it then. Yeah, I was not privy to that information. Thank you for the clarification for whoever typed that in the chat. Thank you. Let's see here. After Turd's question, we had Lethal Jake who says PPR start Wanda Robinson over Keenan Allen since I don't know if he plays. Yeah, let's do that. Wanda Robinson's the play. Also, Goddard over Likely. Now that AJ's out, I'd probably still play Likely there. Mauricio Castro, where art thou question? Here it is. Zay Flowers, Lad McConkey, Brian Thomas Jr., Amari Cooper, or Keenan Allen. Start two. If I'm starting two of those potential options, Mauricio Castro, I'm playing Zay Flowers and Amari Cooper. Thank you. Okay, we are almost at the final moments of the stream. Again, thank you guys for coming through, supporting the channel. What do we have here? 12 team, Collins, Rice, Devonta Smith. In a full PPR, I think I play Rice and Devonta Smith there, AJ. DJ Moore or Godwin, full PPR. Xavier, I'm taking Godwin there. Let's see here. Abe says, pick three, Chase, Godwin, Pittman, Flowers, Kirk. Chase, Godwin, and Pittman are the three. I don't think I'd play Kirk still. Godwin in a full PPR, Rashad White. I think they're both incredible plays. I think I'd probably just default to the running back in that scenario because of touchdown upside. DJ Moore or Godwin. Godwin's the play there. Xavier again. Tariq says you skipped me. Tariq, where's your question, brother? I'm scrolling up. I don't see anything from Tariq. Jerome Hill sends in a question. Says full PPR. Scary Terry McLaurin, Rashid Shaheed, or Adam Thielen. Rest, or should I trade one for Charbonnet for rest of the season? If you can somehow trade for Charbonnet, like right now, you're just giving away Thielen and you get Charbonnet, you can play him over the rest. Great. Otherwise, you're playing McLaurin today. Thank you. Games are about to start, so I don't think you can make that trade right now. So McLaurin's the play. Thank you. Let me see. Where is Tariq? I don't have anything from you, Tariq. I didn't even see a question in the chat. Abe, no problem. Okay. The Joker says Zach Charbonnet, Jerome Ford, or Javonte Williams in a PPR. I'd rather play over all of them. Going DJ Moore over Godwin all day. Very well. Go for it, Ricky. Best of luck. Gildan Warrior says, but why not Charbonnet over Stevenson? Why not? I don't know. I don't trust Charbonnet as much. Like, he's got talent, he's got opportunity, but he's not a better running back than Ramondre. Worthy or Pitts in the flex? I'd rather play Worthy there. Devin Singletary or Zeke? Devin Singletary. Tight end Parkinson or Myers if Keenan Allen is out? I'd probably go with Myers still. Thank you. All right, guys. It's 10 a.m. Best of luck. I'll be back later tonight after the Sunday Night Football game. I appreciate you all coming through, supporting the channel. Again, for those of you who sent a super chat, thank you. Greatly appreciate all the support. Again, I will be back later tonight to review week 2 and the chaos that will ensue. Thank you, guys. Much love. And someone's asking DJ Moore or London. Let's just play DJ Moore in this instance. Thank you. Okay, that's it, guys. I'm cueing the music. I'm playing the double helix. And I'm going to watch 8 hours of commercial-free Red Zone football. See you guys. Peace.